Chapter 481. Because the commotion caused by this matter was too great, the demon race soon learned of this news. They had been fighting with humans for hundreds of years. Although they did not have any technology after so many years, they knew how to use human technology and the internet. There were even quite a number of demons who would often sneak onto the human network to understand all sorts of information about humans. Humans knew about this, but they did not need to stop it. After all, it was not a big deal. It could be said that this was a tacit agreement after many battles between humans and the demon race. Sometimes, culture was also a means of war. Letting the demon race familiarize themselves with humans might make some demons identify with humans and reduce their resistance against humans. Over time, most of the demon race learned to use the virtual network. There were even some demons who were extremely smart and built their own demon race forums and web pages. Something big happened in the human race recently. It is said that someone killed the Black Scorpion King's son, Scorpion 13. This matter is known by everyone. A demon immediately spread the news. Scorpion 13? That idiot? I heard about this a long time ago. A demon king's descendant sneered and said, its innate talent isn't good, so it wants to play some tricks. It wants to use the Sky Demon installation formation and the Demon King's aura that has been accumulated for 10,000 years to improve its bloodline and even increase its cultivation. He overestimated himself. If this method is really useful, why didn't many demons do it after so many years? Instead, he is the only one doing it. This is because once the evil energy enters the body, it will immediately destroy the body's bloodline. Even a king can't expel it. This is equivalent to cutting off the hope of reaching a higher realm. It thought that it could resist this kind of erosion, and with the help of the treasure bestowed by the Black Scorpion King, it would definitely succeed. But in reality, that is simply impossible. After all, the demonic spirit mind contains a terrifying baleful aura as well as demonic aura. Even a demon king wouldn't dare to touch it. He was very disdainful of Scorpion 13 and even looked down on him. This was normal. Humans were just one race, but there were many forces inside. They fought with each other and it was difficult to unite. There were many demon races such as the tiger race, bear race, scorpion race, wolf race, fox race, and so on. These races fought with each other before humans came to the cloud world. Some races even had a blood feud with each other. Although they were temporarily united due to the appearance of the human race, it was impossible for them to become friendly with each other. Although Scorpion 13 was an idiot and used evil methods, he was still a member of the demon race. He was killed, so we must avenge him. There were demons who considered problems from the perspective of the big picture. Easy for you to say. How can we avenge him? Do we have to go to the human territory to kill him? Tiske, even demon monarchs do not dare to venture deep into human territory, afraid that they will be besieged and die. Which demon has the ability to venture deep into human territory? That Scorpion 13 ran to the human territory and behaved atrociously. This matter is completely unreasonable. Are we going to start a war between the human race and the monster race for this brat? Don't joke around. Haven't the blood of our monster race been spilled yet? Many demons sneered and did not agree with avenging Scorpion 13. They did not want to casually start a war at this time. It was not beneficial to any race. Alright, don't boost the morale of others and belittle your own. Whether we start a war or not is not something we small characters can decide. In short, let's see what the Black Scorpion King will do. We just have to wait and see. A demon said in a deep voice. If there's a chance, I'd like to meet that human. Although Scorpion 13 is indeed an idiot, his strength isn't simple either. To be able to kill him alone and even kill his elite guards, his combat strength is indeed extraordinary. A demon's eyes revealed a cold glint. If we can take this human as a slave, he will definitely be a powerful force with endless benefits. It wanted to capture Xiaoping and make him its slave, working like a slave. Interesting. This idea is not bad. Indeed, if we can capture this human who killed Scorpion 13 as a slave, it will be a very honorable thing. This is a slap to the Black Scorpion King's face. It has already lost all its face because of Scorpion 13. Losing it again is nothing. The eyes of some demons flickered, revealing a cold glint. They also began to become interested in Xiaoping. Each of them wanted to capture Xiaoping and make him their slave. Not long after Xiaoping returned to Western Desolation City, the news reached the Black Scorpion King's ears. Its own son was killed in front of everyone, and it was even posted on the internet. This was simply a great humiliation. This kind of behavior completely angered the Black Scorpion King. It was said that on that day the entire cave was destroyed. The mountains within a circumference of 100 miles collapsed and were razed to the ground. Countless demons died. When a king was angry, corpses would float for 1,000 miles. Soon, the Black Scorpion King released a message to the humans, asking them to hand over the murderer who killed its son. They had to kneel and beg for mercy in front of everyone. They even wanted to kill their entire family to serve as a warning to others. Otherwise, it would massacre 10 human cities as revenge. This news caused the entire human world to boil. This Black Scorpion King is too arrogant. It wants us to hand over the murderer and even wants to kill our entire family. What does it think we humans are? Are we its slaves that it can kill whenever it wants? It even threatens to massacre 10 human cities at every turn. It wants to start a war with us humans. We definitely can't agree to it. Otherwise, if every demon king comes to threaten us, we humans will have to retreat. Would we still have any dignity? If it dares to come to human cities, we will kill it. We will kill a demon king. Countless humans were incomparably angry. This Black Scorpion King was too overbearing and arrogant. It simply did not put humans in its eyes and would massacre cities at every turn as revenge. We must kill the Black Scorpion King at all costs. This demon king is too arrogant. It's already so arrogant because of the death of one of its sons. If we destroy its country in the future, won't we have to cede territory and pay reparations? If we agree to this request now, every demon king will do the same thing, killing one of its sons to scam the humans. Won't we have to pay reparations? If that happens, no matter how much money we have, it won't be enough to pay, and no matter how many people we have, it won't be enough to kill them. If it wants to fight, then let's fight. We humans are not afraid of death. Some people believed that they had to send kings to kill the Black Scorpion King to scare the monkeys. Otherwise, these demon kings would not know what it meant to fear humans. However, there were some who remained silent because experts at the demon king level were simply too difficult to kill. Chapter 482. Black Scorpion King. At this moment, a white-robed human king blocked the path of the Black Scorpion King and the other demons. He soared through the air and broke through the void. Even in the face of the million-strong demon army, he was still fearless. The advantage of numbers was useless against experts of this level. What was important was quality. Human. The Black Scorpion King stared at the human king with a gloomy expression. You want to stop me? Go back. The middle-aged man in white said in a deep voice, this is the human race's territory. It's not up to you to behave atrociously. You humans killed my son, and you want me to go back and swallow my anger? The Black Scorpion King sneered. If you humans don't give me an explanation, hand over the murderer, and slaughter his entire clan, I swear I will not rest. His tone was rude and overbearing. Your son only has himself to blame for his death. The middle-aged man in white said indifferently, he dared to come to the human race and cause trouble, so he should be prepared to die. If you don't retreat now, you will die too. The Cloud Realm is not the world of your monster race. Murderous intent surged from his body, not backing down at all. This was the human race's territory, so there was nowhere to retreat. Ridiculous. The Black Scorpion King was so angry that he laughed. You think you can kill me? Do you think I can only endure when you humans walk all over me? Today I will massacre 10 cities and kill billions of humans to send my son off. I want to see what you useless humans can do to stop me. As soon as he finished speaking, the two kings began to fight. In the air, two huge balls of energy collided like two suns colliding. The scorching sun was high in the sky, and every collision produced a terrifying burst of energy like a nuclear explosion. Not good. Run, we can't get involved in the battle between the monster kings. Run or you'll die. Many of the demons were alarmed. The terrifying shockwaves were transmitted over and condensed into a corporeal form. Boulders were pulverized one after another. The ground cracked and hundreds of cracks appeared. Some of the nearby demons were instantly blasted into a mist of blood. They couldn't even resist for a second. Although there was an army of millions of monsters, they could not resist. They all fled, far away from the scene of the battle between the kings. Black Scorpion King, let me help you. Suddenly there was a loud roar in the void. Immediately the two demon kings instantly attacked. They rode on the demon wind and flew over from afar. They joined forces to attack the middle-aged man in white. You have helpers. A cold glint flashed in the middle-aged man's eyes. He could tell that the two demon kings were the Black Scorpion King's good friends, the Centipede King and the Golden Snake King. They were also one of the 72 demon kings, and every single one of them was a terrifying king, not inferior to him. Haha, even if I can't slaughter 10 cities today, I'll at least kill a king. That's enough. Die for this king. The Black Scorpion King laughed loudly. A king-level powerhouse was more important than 10 human cities. As long as he could kill this human king-level powerhouse, his reputation as the Black Scorpion King would definitely skyrocket. Even if they hadn't massacred the entire city, killing a human king was still a great harvest. You have helpers, Black Scorpion King. Don't tell me I don't have helpers too? The middle-aged man in white sneered and waved his hand. Immediately, 4 or 5 figures flew out from the distant mountain. Every one of them emitted a mountain-like aura. Every one of them was a powerhouse not inferior to the Black Scorpion King. They were all kings that the humans had prepared. If the Black Scorpion King had come alone, he would not have called for helpers. This was to prevent the monsters from finding trouble with him and saying that he was bullying the weak. However, since the Black Scorpion King had also prepared helpers, it was natural for him to call for his companions. Despicable. Didn't we agree to fight one-on-one? You actually called a few helpers over. This is treachery. This is shamelessness. The Black Scorpion King cursed loudly with an ugly expression on his face. You want to slaughter my human cities? This is a capital offense. I don't care what rules you have. Black Scorpion King, die. The middle-aged man in white snorted coldly, his killing intent soaring. The other 5 kings also made their moves, joining hands to attack the 3 demonic kings. This battle lasted for 1 day and 1 night. The battlefield stretched for hundreds of miles. The earth trembled, mountains collapsed one after another, flattened to the ground. Hundreds of cracks that stretched for dozens of miles appeared. Some of the more daring human warriors secretly came over to watch, but they were all dumbfounded. Such a battlefield was like a scene of a nuclear explosion, leaving behind demon corpses and rivers of blood. Fortunately, this was a battle in the wild. If this had been a battle in a human city, who knew how many people would have died? In the end, the 3 demonic kings were seriously wounded and fled thousands of miles away. The million soldiers of the demonic race were also killed, frantically fleeing. The Black Scorpion King also quickly fled back to his own demonic kingdom. With the protection of the demonic race alliance, the 6 human kings stopped their pursuit of the Black Scorpion King, and barely saved his life. Immediately, a high official of the human race suggested to deploy 1 million soldiers and use nuclear bombs to annihilate the demonic kingdom ruled by the Black Scorpion King. They would kill the Black Scorpion King's entire clan to warn others. When this news came out, the Black Scorpion King immediately asked for help from the Thousand Monster Mountain. Its face was green and it was incomparably regretful. Originally, it didn't want to really massacre 10 human cities. It just wanted to put on a show and show off the Black Scorpion King's bravery. Otherwise, if it remained silent and indifferent even when its own son was slaughtered, which demonic king would look up to it? Wouldn't that mean that the Black Scorpion King was a cowardly bandit that didn't even dare to make a sound when someone was riding on its head? Therefore, it brazenly attacked without hesitation. If it was lucky and could kill a king or slaughter a few human cities, then it would be rich. It would have made a huge contribution, and it might even attract the appreciation of the Thousand Monster Mountain. However, who would have thought that this human was cruel to this extent? Not only did he seriously wound it, but he also chased it away like a dog. He even wanted to destroy its country. Immediately, it knew that the matter had become big and could not be controlled. If the human race really deployed 1 million soldiers and all kinds of human kings arrived, the Black Scorpion King would definitely die without a burial place. At this time, a big boss of the Thousand Monster Mountain also spoke. If the human race continues to take actions to destroy the stability of the region and try to destroy the peaceful coexistence of the human race and the demonic race, then the Thousand Monster Mountain has already prepared for another war. Its tone was very unyielding and it didn't hesitate to fight. There was also a big boss of the human race who stood out. The human race doesn't have any disagreement on the issue of peace. Our standpoint is clear and nothing has changed. However, some forces vainly want to bully and humiliate the human race, slaughtering cities at every turn. They are arrogant and conceited. We, the human race, will not be lenient toward such forces. We will kill every one of them until the weeds are completely eradicated. I hope the Thousand Monster Mountain can face the needs of the human race, take the big picture into consideration, and don't act blindly without thinking. Chapter 483. Another leader of the Monster Clan stood up and said, "Our Monster Clan has as many experts as the clouds and Monster Kings as the rain. We have over 10 billion soldiers. If the human clan dares to act rashly, they will be exterminated. We solemnly warn the human clan that the consequences will be severe. Do not say that we did not warn you. The monster clan displayed the combat power of the monster clan. Even though it had only been a short time since the last war, they would not be afraid of the threat of the human clan. They would not dare to shed all pretense of cordiality and start a war. The human clan will hold a military exercise at the northern border for 3 days. I hope that the monster mountain will be graced with your presence. The leader of the human clan was very direct. He immediately announced a military exercise for the human clan. This time, the military exercise intended to display the human clan's most advanced war weapons in order to intimidate the monster clan. For a moment, the atmosphere between the human clan and the monster clan was tense. Conflicts and small frictions appeared from time to time at the border. The dark clouds of war shrouded the entire cloud realm. It seemed that whoever fired the first shot would cause the entire barrel of explosives to explode. The war was on the verge of breaking out. It's over. This time, the war between the monster clan and the human clan will really break out. It's been less than 100 years since the last war. How many people will die this time? No matter how many people die, we can't let the monster clan push their luck. If these monster kings slaughter human cities at every turn, how can our lives be guaranteed? This time we must kill the monster clan and let them know what pain is. That's right. Do you want to talk about morality with those monster kings? You won't even be able to finish talking before they eat you alive. Only cannons and firearms can let them know what respect is and what awe is. Countless people were also discussing this on the internet. This matter was too big. Once a war broke out, the entire cloud realm would be affected. At this time, among the monster clan, the ape clan had always been very peaceful. Because they were similar to each other, they were the friendliest to the human clan. Their stance was also neutral. This time they also stood up and acted as peacemakers. A leader of the ape clan said that the human clan and the monster clan could actually coexist peacefully. There was no need to start a war. Everything could be discussed and there was no need to act blindly without thinking. It also proposed 5 principles of peaceful coexistence between the human race and the demon race: mutual respect for each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity, mutual non-aggression, non-interference in each other's internal affairs, equality and mutual benefit, and peaceful coexistence. This ape elder's words were very influential. Under its mediation, the humans and demons began to calm down, and the higher-ups began to interact with each other. In fact, the demon race and the human race did not intend to start an all-out war. After the last war, they both knew that they were not ready for war. If a war were to break out now, it would only bring harm and no benefit. Therefore, with the words of the great ape race, it gave both parties a way out of this embarrassing situation. After a few days after negotiations between the higher-ups, both sides signed a secret agreement. The Black Scorpion King agreed to compensate the human army for their losses, so the disturbance this time quickly disappeared. At this moment in the Western Desolation City, in the living room of the City Lord's mansion, Tisk, Xia Ping sat on a chair and heard the news of the peace treaty between the human race and the demon race. He said, "I thought that a war would really break out. I didn't expect it to be all bark and no bite." He grabbed some snacks on the table in front of him, put them in his mouth and began to chomp down. A war? Do you think that a war is a game? How could it break out so easily? Now that a peace treaty has been signed, both sides have a way out. This is a good result. Western Desolation City's City Lord, Guodonghai, looked at the culprit who almost caused a war between the human race and the demon race. This guy did not have the slightest awareness of the disaster he caused. Instead, he ate, drank, and slept well in Western Desolation City for a few days, pretending that nothing had happened. This was really too infuriating. He had never seen such a troublemaker. If he knew that this would happen, he would not have sent this kid to the demon spirit mine even if he was beaten to death. Do you think I wanted to? Seeing Guodonghai's expression, Xiaoping glanced at him. In that situation, I could only kill it. Otherwise, it would be you or all the humans in Western Desolation City dying. What would you choose? This. Hearing this rhetorical question, Guodonghai was momentarily speechless. He did not know how to answer because Xiaoping's words had indeed hit the nail on the head. If Scorpion 13 did not die, then the humans in Western Desolation City would die. If I was there at that time, I would definitely choose Scorpion 13 to die. Guodonghai clenched his fist. There was no other way. He could not let the humans in Western Desolation be killed by Scorpion 13. Because of this, the higher-ups of the human race knew that this matter was unavoidable. Even if there was the risk of a war with the demon race, they could not blame Xiaoping. So this is how it is. It has nothing to do with me. It was purely that demon seeking death. It was seeking its own death. Xiaoping stretched his body. Guodonghai said in a deep voice, "Now that you are in the middle of a whirlpool, you are the target of everyone. You have become the enemy of the Black Scorpion King. I am afraid that there are many demons who want you dead. I advise you to leave Western Desolation City immediately. This place is no longer safe." Although the demon race could not openly kill Xiaoping, they could assassinate him. The defense of Western Desolation City was full of loopholes, and it was impossible to prevent the assassination of the demon race. If Xiaoping continued to stay in this place, he would definitely be in danger. I already knew that. This time I came to say goodbye to you, and then I will go back to Yanhuang University. Xiaoping stood up and patted the dust on his body. No one knew better than him how much hatred he had provoked from the demon race, especially the Black Scorpion King. This guy simply wanted to completely destroy him and dismember his body into thousands of pieces. And this action also allowed him to gain more than 15 million hatred points. In addition to the previous hatred points, he now had a total of 20 million hatred points. This was simply getting rich overnight. But the more hatred points he had, the more dangerous he was. After all, this time he had provoked a demon king. The consequences were unimaginable. If not for the protection of the human city, it was estimated that he might be killed by the angry Black Scorpion King and dismembered into thousands of pieces. Well, it's good that you know the danger. Guodonghai nodded. In short, when you return to Yanhuang University this time, don't go out easily. Temporarily avoid the limelight and strengthen your martial arts cultivation as soon as possible. If you can be promoted to the Grandmaster realm or even the King realm, then there is nothing to be afraid of. He warned Xiaoping. Got it, see you next time. Xiaoping turned around, waved his hand at Guodonghai and left. This kid. Seeing Xiaoping's back as he left, Guodonghai shook his head and sighed in his heart. What a troublemaker. His ability to cause trouble was first class. But if this kid could survive, there would definitely be a place for him in the future. Maybe in the future he would need this kid's help. A day later, Xiaoping returned to Yanhuang University safely on the Light God. Perhaps some demon assassins were afraid of the Light God's attack power and did not dare to attack at will. Chapter 484. Yanhuang University's Forum. Shocking news. Xiaoping returned from Western Baron City today. Someone saw Xiaoping's private spaceship, Radiant God, arrive at the airport. A post was immediately posted with a photo of Xiaoping at the airport. This post immediately caused a sensation in the entire Yanhuang University. After all, everyone knew that Xiaoping was a famous figure in the entire Cloud Realm. He was known as the mastermind behind the war between the demon race and the human race. Some people almost wanted to send him to the military court and ask him to apologize to the demon race. But in the end, the matter was left unsettled. The brat still survived this disaster unscathed. Indeed, I saw it too. That brat was summoned by the university leaders as soon as he got off the spaceship. This was what an eyewitness said. It can't be. Is it true? He actually came back safe and sound. A student was shocked. The Black Scorpion King clamored that he would kill Xiaoping to avenge his son. Who knows how many demon assassins wanted to kill Xiaoping, but this brat actually came back unscathed. This time, the Black Scorpion King really suffered a double loss. Not only did he lose a son, but he was also half crippled by a human king. More than half of his elite troops were killed or injured. In the end, in order to avoid a war between the human race and the demon race, he had no choice but to compensate the human race's losses. It could be said that the Black Scorpion King had lost half of his life. One could imagine how much the Black Scorpion King hated Xiaoping, the main culprit. He had already secretly spread the word that whoever could kill the human Xiaoping would receive a great reward. Now, who knew how many demon assassins wanted to cut off Xiaoping's head and receive the reward? Therefore, when the Yanhuang University students found out that Xiaoping came back unscathed, they were all extremely shocked and felt that it was unimaginable. This Xiaoping is really amazing. He almost caused a war between the human race and the demon race, but he actually came back unscathed as if nothing had happened. There's no way to explain this. How strong is this brat's background to be able to protect him? He's simply invincible. Could he be the president's illegitimate son? He caused such a disaster and still came back unscathed. That bastard is simply a natural troublemaker. He caused a lot of trouble in Yanhuang University. Who knows how many people hate him. Now he's actually causing trouble for the demon race. Many students were speechless. They knew Xiaoping's glorious history. Ever since he entered Yanhuang University, he had never been content with his place. He could do anything. The freshmen and seniors of over 100 societies had all been beaten up by this fellow. Who knew how many people were cursing him in their hearts, but he was still alive and kicking. He was simply an unsolved mystery. This is the best. Suji and the other girls also received the news. They were speechless. This troublemaker's ability to stir up trouble was beyond their imagination. He even dared to kill a demon king's descendant. Because of this matter, a war between the human race and the demon race almost broke out. This was too exaggerated. They were unable to imagine what sort of world-shocking event this fellow would accomplish if he were to advance into the king realm. Perhaps the entire sky dimension would be overturned by him. I originally thought he would die on the way back to Yanhuang University. I didn't expect nothing to happen. What a pity. How can that bastard live so long? Can't anyone take care of him? Some students were indignant and bared their teeth. Could it be that the Black Scorpion King is scared and only knows how to talk? It's not scared, but the Black Scorpion King can't do anything to Xiaoping. No matter how powerful it is, can it enter the human race's territory? Unless it's tired of living. That's true. Although the Black Scorpion King is a demon king, he is still the king of the demon race. It's too difficult for him to enter the human race's territory and kill a genius. Before he gets close to the human race's territory, he'll probably be ambushed by many kings. Many students were well aware that under the protection of human experts, it would be more difficult for the demon race assassins to kill Xiaoping in front of so many people. After all, Xiaoping was now an influential figure in the sky dimension. If he were to be killed at this time, it would be a slap in the face to the human race. Hence, with such a tight defense, it was impossible for the demon clan assassins to find any loopholes. Didn't someone say that Big Brother Xia was bragging? They said that he didn't kill Scorpion 13, but some useless soldiers and crab generals. How are you now? Why don't you jump out and show us how swollen your face is? A member of the Pingtian Gate jumped out and said proudly. Unlike the other students, they were very proud. After all, Xiaoping was the gate master of the Pingtian Gate, their boss. Now that Xiaoping was so powerful, they felt proud. Many students had strange expressions. Previously, Mu Haoren, Zhu Zijian, and the others had clamored and mocked Xiaoping on the forum. They thought that Xiaoping was lying, bragging, and that he had no ability at all. They said that Scorpion 13 was a fake and that there was no such thing. Even with the photos, those guys were still stubborn, finding all kinds of reasons to deny it and stubbornly resisting. But now, this matter almost caused a war between the human race and the demon race. Even the Black Scorpion King jumped out in anger. The facts were laid out and no one dared to say that Xiaoping was bragging anymore. Bastard. Zhu Zijian and Mu Haoren also saw this post. Their faces were as black as charcoal, as if they had been slapped in the face several times. They were so depressed that they wanted to vomit blood. Originally, they wanted to let this matter go, but who would have thought that these despicable people from the Pingtian Gate would be the same as that shameless Xiaoping? They grabbed onto the other party's sore spot and refused to let go. It was too disgusting. Stop shouting. Who knows how swollen their faces are? How would they dare to come out and see people? Aren't they afraid of looking too ugly and scaring the elderly and children? Someone from the Pingtian Gate mocked. They don't dare to see people now? Back then they were very arrogant, refuting us in all kinds of ways, quoting the classics and pretending to be knowledgeable. They even looked down on us new students for being uncultured and not knowing the power of the demon race. They're very good at bragging. If they really go to the battlefield, I guarantee that they'll be the first to desert and cry for their parents. If these guys still dare to come out and clamor, then I'll beat them up every time I see them. I hate these kind of idiots who only know how to talk. They don't have any knowledge at all. Zhu Zijian, Mu Haoren, did you hear that? In the future, behave yourself at Yanhuang University with your tails between your legs. Don't think that you can be cocky just because you're elite students. You're all idiots. A group of Pingtian Gate members mocked Zhu Zijian and the others. These bitches. Chapter 485. Yanhuang University's Academic Affairs Office. At this moment, Xiaoping was in this office. In front of him were 2 or 3 old men, as well as the Academic Affairs Office's director Zhao Yang. However, Zhao Yang, who had the authority of the school and could use Yanhuang University's network at will, was standing behind him like a grandson, not daring to breathe. Because these 3 old men were Yanhuang University's guardian elders with unfathomable martial arts cultivation. The leader was an old man in a black robe. His name was Duze. This elder also came to Xiaoping's villa last time. Director. Seeing these big shots of the school appear, Xiaoping was not afraid at all. He said casually, Calling me to this place, have you thought about how to reward me? To be honest, I'm ready to accept all kinds of huge rewards. Even if you take out treasures, dragon blood, or some 10,000-year-old elixir, I won't be surprised. He patted his chest, looking like he would never be proud. Reward. The few elders looked at Xiaoping speechlessly. This kid was too thick-skinned. He caused so much trouble and almost caused a war between the demon race and the human race. It would be good if this guy wasn't severely punished, but he actually shamelessly asked for a reward. He even wanted dragon blood and 10,000-year-old elixir. Why didn't this kid go to heaven? They wanted it too. Don't even think about a reward. Elder Du Zhe said angrily. In short, you got into big trouble this time. You're wanted by the Black Scorpion King. The demon race assassins that want to kill you can probably line up hundreds of kilometers. Fortunately, this is Yanhuang University. The surrounding protection measures are still good. Even if a king-level powerhouse wants to attack, it's impossible. But it's different if you leave the protection range of Yanhuang University. At that time, you will definitely be attacked by demon race assassins. So, during this time, don't leave Yanhuang University if it's not necessary. Lie low. He looked at Xiaoping with a serious face. The reason why he wanted to see Xiaoping was to warn this kid. Don't worry, I know. Xiaoping nodded. Elder Du Zhe said in a deep voice, all right, I only came here to warn you. Since you understand your situation, that's for the best. Remember to be well-behaved and don't cause too much trouble. Otherwise, Yanhuang University won't be able to handle it. He had a slight headache because of this brat. Although his aptitude was not bad, he was too good at causing trouble. He actually almost caused a war between the human race and the demon race. This kind of thing was really too exaggerated. After knowing about this, he almost had a heart attack. He had never seen such a troublemaker who could do anything. After saying these things, the elders left. All right, the elder has left. Seeing the elders leave, teaching director Zhao Yang heaved a sigh of relief. Staying with these big shots, he didn't even dare to breathe loudly. It was too stifling. He looked at Xiaoping. Now that you've completed your mission, you're officially an elite student. You'll move into Yanhuang University's elite district, where you'll be given a student villa as your residence. Apart from obtaining a villa, the school will also reward you with 100 energy stones and a king-level secret manual in view of your outstanding performance in this mission. He listed out a series of rewards for becoming an elite student. Energy stones? What's that? Xiaoping asked curiously. It was the first time he had heard such a term. Zhao Yang said in a deep voice, the so-called energy stones are made by using high-tech means to purify, compress, and refine the chi of heaven and earth, thereby crystallizing the energy into the shape of a stone. This kind of stone is called an energy stone. Because the energy stones contain extremely pure heaven and earth yuan chi, it is extremely beneficial to martial artists. Absorbing one of these energy stones can save 100 days of cultivation time. Therefore, energy stones are very important to warriors. They are extremely precious cultivation resources. Hearing these words, Xiaoping immediately understood. The nature of the energy stones and the demon spirit stones was the same, but the former was a resource created by high-tech means. The latter was a naturally formed resource similar to coal, but both had the same function. They could assist warriors in their cultivation and had many benefits. Moreover, energy stones did not have the side effects of the demon spirit stones. For humans, it was simply the supreme cultivation treasure. I can also get a king-level secret manual? May I ask what kind of secret manual it is? Xiaoping asked. Zhao Yang said, I have a catalog of the king-level secret manuals here. You can choose one yourself. Of course, you can only choose one. With a slap, he waved his hand and a virtual projection immediately popped up. On this projection was the catalog of the king-level secret manuals. This was the top secret information of Yanhuang University. Unless one became an elite student or above, one would not have the authority to know. Xiaoping took a look. There were a total of 1 to 200 king-level secret manuals. Each of them was extremely precious. If they were to be put outside, who knew how many warriors would go crazy over them? These were all the treasures of Yanhuang University. This martial arts secret manual? Clapless palm? Very soon, Xiaoping found a palm technique secret manual that he was very interested in. This clapless palm, as the name suggested, had no rhythm or beat. When it was performed, it was like a heavenly steed soaring through the sky, unrestrained and untraceable. This was a palm that could be executed at will. However, each palm contained tyrannical power that was enough to split mountains. It was extremely powerful. He instinctively felt that this clapless palm was an extremely powerful king-level martial art. It should be known that any palm technique, fist technique, or even sword technique, or saber technique had moves and traces. However, this palm technique was a pioneer. It could be executed at will without any fixed moves. It was extremely mysterious. If it was cultivated to the peak, it was unknown how powerful it would be. Clapless palm? Ding Xiaoyang also noticed Xiaoping's gaze. He frowned and said, "I advise you not to choose this king-level martial art. Although the introduction sounds powerful, it is only a lower king level." Lower king level? Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He knew that king-level secret manuals were also divided into different grades. From the highest to the lowest they were peerless, upper, middle, and lower. Although there was only a difference of 1 grade between each grade, the difference was like heaven and earth. The value was at least 10 times higher. Even in the cloud realm, most of the king-level martial arts that were cultivated were only at the lower king level. It was extremely difficult to reach the middle king level. As for the peerless king-level martial arts, it was something that could only be encountered by luck. There were not many of such martial arts in the entire cloud realm. Chapter 486. Why is it only king-level low grade? Xiaoping looked at Ding Xiaoyang. According to the introduction of this palm technique, this martial arts technique has at least the power of king-level high grade. Once successfully cultivated, it would be unimaginable. That's because this is a flawed cultivation technique. Ding Xiaoyang said in a deep voice, "It is a martial arts technique created by a human king Jianghu. It is said that he reached a state of epiphany and inadvertently created it. Therefore this palm technique has extremely tyrannical power. But after that he wanted to completely perfect this palm technique, but there was no way. It seems that this has exceeded the scope of his martial arts cultivation. It is impossible for him to take a step forward. This is a wonderful palm technique created in a state of epiphany. It can only be encountered but not sought." He paused for a moment and continued, "Here comes the problem. Because this is a flawed technique, it is not perfected at all, so it is extremely difficult to cultivate. This palm technique requires the cultivator to achieve a state where there are no moves in the hands, but there are moves in the heart, and no move is better than a move. This is the realm of emptiness, and the requirements for the mind are extremely high. Many elite students have also tried to learn this palm technique, but so far, none of them have learned it." Zhuangquanqiu. Hearing this, Xiaoping was immediately shocked because this name was simply like thunder piercing the ears. This was a character that appeared in history textbooks, the peak of the human world. The other party had been a hero since the apocalypse of Yanhuang Star. He had experienced several wars and killed many strong enemies. He was still alive today. He was more than 1,000 years old. He was a legendary old monster with a terrifying cultivation base. He didn't expect the clapless palm to be a martial arts technique created by such a person. "It seems that you also know Zhuangquanqiu." The dean smiled slightly. Many elite students know that this technique was created by him, so they also wanted to learn it, but they were all defeated. In short, this is a flawed technique, and it is extremely difficult to cultivate. Even if you succeed, its power is not necessarily stronger than a king-level mid-grade martial arts technique. It is not worth it for you to choose this martial arts technique. He stated his reasons. At this moment the system's voice sounded, "Host, a king-level martial arts technique not recorded in the system has been detected, clapless palm. Would you like to scan and record it now?" "What?" Xiaoping's eyes flashed. He didn't expect that even the system didn't record this martial skill. Originally he thought that the system was almost omnipotent and all-encompassing, but in fact there were some things that it couldn't do. After all, there were too many martial skills in this world. No matter how powerful the system was, it was impossible for it to know everything. Especially when it came to martial skills created by some martial artists, it was even more unknown. "Why do I need to scan and record them?" Xiaoping asked. The system replied, "This is a very valuable martial arts technique. It already has a hint of the essence of martial arts, but it was limited by the creator's shallow cultivation and limited vision, preventing him from taking a step further. But I have to admit that the other party is indeed talented. This martial arts technique is worthy of being recorded in the system. If the host records this secret manual, he can spend 5 million hatred points to fill in the gaps of this cultivation technique and deduce it to the level of peerless king level." King level superior quality? Xiaoping's body suddenly trembled, and he was completely stunned by the system's news. One must know that the 10,000 Beasts fist, immovable Buddha's palm, 8 heavenly dragons' music, Kunpeng steps, and spring and autumn sword technique that he cultivated were only at the power of mid-grade king level. But even so, such martial arts skills were enough for him to defeat countless strong enemies. And this clap palm could actually reach the power of peerless king level, which was simply unimaginable. Once learned, he could immediately sweep away a large number of enemies. Of course, the level of martial arts did not represent one's combat effectiveness. Combat effectiveness and one's combat skills, combat awareness, martial arts cultivation technique, strength, speed, experience, understanding of martial arts, etc., are all indispensable. Therefore, sometimes martial artists can also rely on their understanding of martial arts to exert the power of mid-grade king-level martial arts to the extreme, and it is not impossible to keep pace with high-grade king-level martial arts, or even surpass it. Thinking of this, Xiaoping immediately said to Zhao Yang, "I've decided to exchange for this clap palm." Director Zhao Yang took a deep look at Xiaoping and saw the firmness in his eyes. He had said so much, but Xiaoping was still determined, so he would not dissuade him anymore. "Well, since you have decided, then I can't say anything, but it's too late for you to regret it," Director Zhao Yang said in a deep voice, and he no longer dissuaded him. After saying this, he sent the martial arts secret book about the clap palm to Xiaoping's smartwatch through electronic information. Ding, the system said. "Received the clap palm martial arts information, scanning, recording has been successful. Does the host want to spend 5 million hate points to deduce this cultivation technique?" Deduce? Xiaoping didn't say anything and immediately spent 5 million hate points to deduce this cultivation technique. One must know that a normal peerless king level cultivation technique requires at least 10 million hate points, high-grade king level requires more than 1 million hate points, and mid-grade king level requires more than 100,000 hate points. And now it only costs 5 million to deduce the peerless king level cultivation technique, which is already a great bargain. Only martial arts cultivation techniques that are not recorded in the system have such benefits. If it were something else, it would be impossible to do so. With a snap, the system immediately deducted 5 million hate points from Xiaoping, and now he only had 15 million hate points left, reduced by a quarter. Hula, at this moment, images also appeared in the depths of Xiaoping's mind. Figures appeared in the void one after another, performing the clap palm. Every palm strike was untraceable, and there was no trace to be found at all. Such a move was natural and had reached the realm of perfection, and there was no flaw to be found at all. If that was all, it would be fine, but after the system's deduction, the power of this palm technique seemed to have increased by more than 1,000 times, reaching the highest realm, and every palm strike seemed to be able to shatter the vacuum. When the palm was completed, the air vibrated thousands of times, and even the meteorite iron was smashed into powder under such power. The power of the palm was terrifying. Peerless king-level martial arts technique, clap palm. Xiaoping clenched his fists. It has a total of 9 stacks and each stack is extremely tyrannical. If the 9 stacks are superimposed, the power is simply unimaginable. A palm in the void can slap a mountain into dust. Chapter 487. Elite Area. After giving Xiaoping his reward, Zhao Yang led him and Xiaoping to the elite area of Yanhuang University. This was a place completely different from the ordinary area. There was a tall wall in front of them that separated the two areas. Without permission, ordinary students couldn't enter the elite area at all. But now that Xiaoping had been promoted to an elite student, he could enter and exit the elite area at will. What rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth! After passing through the gate and entering the elite area, Xiaoping immediately felt that the density of spiritual energy in this place was 10 times or even more than 10 times that of the ordinary area. This was simply the essence of the entire Yanhuang University. It seemed that the essence of heaven and earth gathered in this place. If a martial artist cultivated here, their cultivation speed could be increased by more than several times. And in this place there were buildings one after another, a vast area, row upon row. Vaguely, the distribution of these buildings seemed to be very orderly. Xiaoping sensed that these buildings seemed to have formed a huge array formation, with dragons and tigers coiling around it. Therefore, the spiritual energy between heaven and earth gathered in this area. He could imagine that the layout of this area must have been guided by an expert. This place is the elite area of Yanhuang University. Zhao Yang introduced the place. The entire Yanhuang University's Technology Center, Research Center, and Training Center are all here. It can be said that this is the essence area. Most of the surrounding buildings are high-end laboratories. Scientists will conduct all kinds of experiments and research here, but the information is top secret. Even elite students can't enter and exit at will. They must have the corresponding permission. Otherwise, they will be regarded as spies and killed on the spot by the guards. He pointed out that there were various taboos in this place that couldn't be violated at will, or it would be a disaster. Of course, you don't need to pay attention to these laboratories. Zhao Yang said, you only need to know 2 places. One is the resting area for students, and the other is the training area. The resting area is in a residential area in the east. It's very large and easy to find. And the training area is in that place. He pointed to the front. Xia Ping looked in the direction of the finger and immediately saw a huge tower that towered into the clouds. It was at least 1,000 stories high and he couldn't see the end of it. It could be said that the most magnificent building in the entire elite area was this tower. This tower is called the Training Tower. The head of teaching smiled. This is where the elite students study and train. Apart from resting and carrying out missions, the elite students basically stay there. The training tower also has many of the world's top training equipment, such as the gravity chamber. After entering, you can feel 10 times, 20 times, or even 100 times the gravity of Yanhuang planet. It can temper your body in all aspects. There's a quiet room. That place emits a unique gas that allows people to quickly enter a meditative state. It's a good place for secluded cultivation. Who knows how many students are fighting to enter, but they have to queue up. There's also a combat room. This place can simulate almost any harsh environment in the world. Elite students can enter this place and experience any dangerous situation in this world. This will greatly increase the survival rate of future adventures. Of course, there are also students who use the combat rooms to fight in the arena. He introduced a lot of information about the training tower. It didn't take long for Xia Ping and Zhao Yang to arrive at the training tower. They came to the first floor of the training tower. This was a huge training ground, similar to a martial arts field. Many elite students appeared here, practicing martial arts in this place. Some students slashed with their swords. Layers of sword energy appeared in midair and then condensed together. With a bang, this blow easily cut the titanium alloy metal in front of them into countless pieces. Some students punched like the wind, condensing a fist print in the void. 100 meters away, a hole was formed in the wall in front of them, and the roar was like a war drum or a big bell. Some students used a spear and stabbed it gently. Immediately, there was a sound of breaking through the air. The surrounding air rotated as if it was condensed at the tip of the spear in an instant, producing terrible destructive power. Even a fierce beast could not resist this spear and would be pierced in an instant. Amazing! Xia Ping's eyes lit up. Every elite student who appeared here had extremely high martial arts aptitude. It could be said that the students who entered Yanhuang University were considered geniuses, the kind of 1 in a million. However, the elite students were geniuses selected from many others. Each of them was a monster and had the qualification to be promoted to the king level. Cultivating in this place could be said to be a place of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. In the future, some kings would be born among these students. Hey, another newcomer? Some elite students on the training ground immediately noticed Xia Ping and Zhao Yang, who came in through the door. A freshman? What's so strange? Didn't the elite student assessment just happen to be held a few days ago? It doesn't matter if a few pass. We'd better practice hard and be promoted to the supreme power realm as soon as possible. No, this freshman is different. He has been in the limelight recently. I don't know how many times more famous than the people here. I see. It's Xia Ping. This is the guy who killed Scorpion 13, the son of the Black Scorpion King. He is the central figure in the war between the human clan and the demon clan. Interesting. He has become an elite student so quickly. I'd like to see how powerful this guy is to cause such a big trouble. Many elite students looked over. They were all very interested in Xia Ping, who had caused so much trouble in the cloud realm. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, everyone looked over and focused on Xia Ping. They seemed to be wondering how powerful this kid was to be able to kill a demon like Scorpion 13. Kid, you must be Xia Ping. Immediately, a man with a long sword on his waist walked out. He stared at Xia Ping with a faint smile and said, "Are you interested in fighting with me in the combat room? You are a famous person recently. You killed Scorpion 13, so your martial arts must be very powerful." He stepped forward to provoke. "Xiahao." Zhao Yang shouted angrily, "You are a 6th heaven martial master and have been an elite student for many years. You actually want to challenge a freshman. You are going too far." He could see that Xiahao had bad intentions and wanted to bully the young. No, no, no. You are looking down on me, Xiahao said with a smile. If he challenged other freshmen it would be bullying. But Xiaoping is different. He killed Scorpion 13, so his combat strength is obviously extraordinary. He is different from ordinary freshmen. We are all very interested in Junior Xia's combat strength and want to fight. But if Junior Xia doesn't dare, we won't force you. Chapter 488. Many elite students were watching the show from the side with mocking looks on their faces. In reality they did not believe the rumors. They said that Xia Ping had killed Scorpion 13 and his bodyguard alone. His battle prowess was extraordinary. They were probably just bragging. After all, there were many ways to kill people, such as nuclear bombs, firearms, and so on. With the help of these high-tech weapons and traps, one could easily kill some monsters. However, this did not mean that the other party's martial arts strength was really strong. Perhaps he would grow in the future, but he was not qualified now. Oh, you want to challenge me? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows and looked at the elite student Xiahao in front of him. No, this is not a challenge but a duel, a fair duel. Xiahao's mouth twitched. He wanted to correct this point. Now he finally understood why the rumor said that this kid had a cheap mouth and made countless people want to beat him up. Just based on what he said just now, he felt a fire burning in his heart. What was a challenge? The so-called challenge was the weak challenging the strong, and the young challenging the old. There had never been a strong challenging the weak. According to this kid's words, he was clearly saying that he, Xiahao, was inferior to him. One had to know that he was a senior who had entered Yanhuang University for many years. Be it age or martial arts cultivation, he was considered this kid's senior. Now that he was lower than this guy for no reason, how could he feel good? Of course I will not bully the weak. I can let the combat room suppress our cultivation to the first heaven of martial master. This way, everyone's cultivation will be the same, and it will purely be a competition of battle skills. This is very fair. He looked at Xia Ping to show that he was not bullying the weak. Very fair. Zhao Yang, the dean of students, snorted coldly. Your cultivation is at the sixth heaven of martial master. You have been an elite student for several years and have received a lot of training. Whether in terms of cultivation time or martial arts experience, you are above ordinary students. So what if you suppress your cultivation to the same level? Those who have just been promoted to elite student are no match for you. You have an overwhelming advantage. Also, according to the rules of the training tower, there are usually bets in the combat room. How much do you want to bet with Xia Ping? He saw through Xiahao's plan in an instant. Not much, just 100 energy stones. Xiahao grinned and said, Junior, you've just been promoted to an elite student, so you must have received some rewards. It should be easy for you to take out 100 energy stones. So that's how it is. You took a fancy to Xia Ping's energy stones. Dean Zhaoyang stared at Xiahao. I heard that some of you bullied the newbies and invited them into the combat room for a duel. On the surface it looks like a fair duel, but how can those newbies be a match for you old foxes? Each and every one of them lost their energy stones and suffered a loss in silence. You've made a huge profit. Hearing this, Xia Ping finally understood. These seniors bullied the freshmen because they didn't know the rules, so they challenged the freshmen to a gambling match. The result was obvious. Even if they suppressed their cultivation to the same level, the freshmen would still lose miserably. After all, in terms of talent, everyone possessed top-notch aptitude. However, these seniors had gone through several years of tempering, and the gap between them had become apparent. It was too difficult for a newcomer to win. He looked around and saw Mu Haoren and the others. They also had a gloating look on their faces. They probably suffered a lot of losses in silence. At the same time, they hoped that Xia Ping would be as unlucky as him. Indeed, I made a profit, but I didn't bully them. All of them volunteered. Since their skills were inferior, they had to accept their losses. Xiahao didn't feel guilty at all. He thought that he didn't break any rules and even the school couldn't punish him. He said, What do you think? Junior Xia, you're a newly promoted elite this time. You're a big shot in the entire Cloud Realm. Even a Demon King's descendant like Scorpion 13 was killed by you. You're really fierce. 100 energy stones is nothing to a great figure like you. Don't tell me you're afraid and want to run away. He had a sarcastic look on his face. Xiahao, you're looking down on people. Who do you think Junior Xia is? How can he be compared to ordinary people? Ordinary students might refuse, but he definitely won't. An elite student stood up and shouted loudly. Isn't that right? He didn't even run away when facing those ferocious monsters. Why would he run away from a mere duel? Of course, if he really ran away, I'm a little suspicious. Is he faking it? A national hero doesn't even dare to participate in a fair duel. His nature is obvious. That's too much. Are all of you trying to bully Junior Xia? Don't you have any shame? Let me tell you, it's not a problem for Junior Xia to refuse to duel with you. At most, his reputation will be damaged a little and he'll be looked down upon. This is a small matter. But then again, he doesn't even dare to accept a fair duel. This is a little too cowardly. One by one, the elite students stood up and echoed each other. It was as if they were performing a skit mocking Xia Ping. Their faces were full of sarcasm as if they had long joined forces. Some people seemed to be speaking up for Xia Ping, but in reality they were still mocking him. If he refused this duel, perhaps no one would look up to him and he would become a laughing stock. There were 7 or 8 elite students and they were all Xia Hao's good friends. As for the other elite students, this matter was of no concern to them, and they watched coldly from the sidelines. Alright, if you want a duel then let's do it, said Xia Ping with a grin. What? The surrounding elite students were shocked, as they never imagined that Xia Ping would agree so easily. Xia Ping. The dean of students, Zhao Yang, was extremely shocked as well and he looked at Xia Ping. But a bet of 100 energy stones is too small, and I'm not interested. If you want to bet then let's bet something big. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back. A bet of 1,000 energy stones, what do you think? 1,000 energy stones. Everyone was shocked and they were dumbstruck as they looked at Xia Ping. After all, even to elite students, 1,000 energy stones was a very large amount. Even though every elite student had a boundless future and obtained the financial support of their clans or various martial arts organizations to assist in their cultivation, it would at least require an elite student to spend 2 to 3 years to earn 1,000 energy stones. Normally speaking, a bet of 100 energy stones could be considered to be not bad. Thus, when Xia Ping suddenly suggested a bet of 1,000 energy stones, it was like a rich man asking a pauper to bet 10 million renminbi. No matter who it was, they would be stunned for a long time and not dare believe their ears. 1,000 energy stones? The relaxed expression on Xia Hao's face vanished as he stared at Xia Ping. Because even though this amount couldn't be considered to be a complete loss to him, if he were to lose it, it would be a heavy blow. This was an amount that required him to think carefully. Chapter 489. Wait. Xia Hao was anxious when he saw Xia Ping was about to leave, and he stopped him immediately. What's wrong? Xia Ping said indifferently, if you want to bet with me, I won't agree if you don't have enough money. All the elite students in the surroundings were surprised. According to Xia Hao's plan, Xia Ping should have been forced into a hopeless situation and had no choice but to agree to the duel this time. But a single sentence had turned the situation around immediately, and Xia Hao was at a disadvantage while Xia Ping was overbearing. Now it was Xia Hao who was in a hopeless situation. If he didn't dare agree then he would really become a laughing stock. But to be honest, no one had expected Xia Ping to be so daring. Not only did he agree to the challenge, he even wanted to bet 1,000 energy stones. Thus, Xia Hao's imposing manner was instantly suppressed. Since you have the balls to bet with me, why wouldn't I dare? Someone is giving me 1,000 energy stones. Wouldn't I be a fool if I didn't accept it? Xia Hao sneered and stared at Xia Ping. He had made up his mind. Although he was slightly shocked by the amount Xia Ping said earlier, he quickly recovered from his shock. This duel was within his grasp. So what if the bet was huge? It was just giving him money. If he was really intimidated by this kid, then he, Xia Hao, would become a laughing stock among the elite students. Very good. Straightforward enough. Xia Ping smiled lightly. He was just worrying that no one would give him money. He didn't expect that someone would stupidly come to him now. This time he wouldn't let it go if he didn't make a killing off this idiot. Sign the contract and then we'll go to the combat room on the 2nd floor. Xia Hao gave Xia Ping a contract with a series of legal provisions on it. Xia Ping signed the contract very quickly. Once the outcome of the duel was decided, then both parties couldn't go back on this bet. Otherwise, the Federation government would pursue the matter. Let's go. Xia Hao was instantly at ease when he saw Xia Ping sign the contract. He turned around and walked up to the 2nd floor leading the way. Xia Ping, you're too impulsive. How can you compete with him? Dean Zhaoyang shook his head and sighed. Although you're a genius as well, which elite student isn't a genius? Moreover, he has cultivated for a few more years than you, and his martial Dao techniques are extremely powerful. Even if he suppresses his cultivation to fight you, your chances of winning aren't high. He felt that Xia Ping would definitely lose this time, and he would have to compensate 1,000 energy stones. This wasn't a small amount. The other elite students also looked at Xia Ping with pity. They felt that this brat was too stupid and too arrogant. He actually dared to agree to a bet with Xia Hao and took the initiative to raise the stakes. If this wasn't courting death, then what was? On the other hand, Xia Hao's companions from before felt bitter and hateful. If they'd known earlier that this kid was an idiot, then they would have challenged him as well. Now all 1,000 energy stones had fallen into Xia Hao's hands, and they had utterly no share. Director. Xia Ping stood with his hands clasped behind his back and looked at Zhao Yang, the director of teaching. Whether I really have no chance of winning or not, I won't know until I can't beat him. If the older people in this world have the stronger combat power and will definitely win, then why do we need to compete in martial arts? Why do we need to fight? Why don't we just directly rank according to age? This. Hearing this, Dean Zhao Yang was shocked, and then he looked deeply at Xia Ping. If he wasn't absolutely confident, how could he say such a thing? Moreover, this student in front of him wasn't an idiot. He also knew the other party's combat power, but he still insisted on carrying out the bet. If he wasn't confident, why would he agree to it and even raise the stakes? A few minutes later, in a combat room on the second floor of the training tower, Xia Ping and Xia Hao both entered, while the surrounding elite students stayed on the first floor. They watched through the monitor in the combat room and the virtual projection, projecting it on the big screen. After entering the combat room, Xia Ping immediately realized that the combat room had changed. It had become like a martial arts dojo, surrounded by vast open space. The area it occupied was very wide, allowing martial artists to display their punches and kicks at will. He even felt an indescribable energy descend in the combat room, sealing the quintessential essence in his body. He could only erupt with the power of a first-layer martial master. Even if he wanted to circulate the cultivation technique in his body, he couldn't use any power that exceeded this range. It was as if he was wearing shackles on his body, and he couldn't break free no matter what. It was the same for Xia Hao. The aura on his body dropped rapidly, weakening by more than half. Amazing. Xia Ping was very surprised by how advanced this combat room was. The technology inside was simply beyond his imagination. With a ding sound, a mechanical voice rang out in the combat room. The dual battlefield is set up in a martial arts dojo. Both parties are at the first layer martial master. There is no time limit. If one party voluntarily surrenders or gets up after falling to the ground, it won't be considered a loss. Now let the duel begin. Boom. As soon as the voice rang out, Xia Hao instantly attacked, slashing with his sword. He had no intention of exchanging pleasantries with Xia Ping. He wanted to get rid of Xia Ping immediately and obtain victory. Although he looked very arrogant earlier, he was a meticulous person. He was extremely cautious and understood the principle of a lion going all out even when hunting a rabbit. Swoosh. At this moment, his long sword seemed to pierce through the air, exploding with a shocking sword chi. It was like a white ray of light, piercing straight towards Xia Ping. Even the air produced visible ripples, containing terrifying penetrative power. The speed had already surpassed the speed of sound. Once hit, even titanium alloy would be pierced through. Such swordsmanship had reached the acme of perfection. Even Mu Banqing back then couldn't be compared to Xia Hao. He was already an expert at the master level of swordsmanship. He had an extremely deep understanding of swordsmanship. Retreat. Feeling the threat of the sword chi, Xia Ping's figure retreated rapidly. He performed the Kunping steps and a transparent pair of wings appeared on his back. In an instant he retreated 100 meters to the side. With a thud, the sword chi pierced through the wall of the martial arts dojo behind Xia Ping. There was even a clear crack on the ground. Haha, you were quite arrogant just now. You even wanted to bet 1,000 energy stones with me. Are you bluffing here? Xia Hao laughed out loud. What's going on now? Can you only dodge my attack? Perhaps you're very strong among ordinary students and invincible, which gives you great confidence. But this is the elite zone of Yanhuang University. Everyone here is a genius, a peerless demon. They're not inferior to you. A freshman who hasn't even grown his hair yet dares to come here and behave atrociously. Do you think you're qualified? Today I'll destroy your prestige and show you that there's always someone better than you. Boom. Chapter 490. Bang. Xia Hao's sword slashed through the air, emitting a terrifying sword chi. It drew an exquisite arc in the air and actually slashed towards Xia Ping's head, containing an extremely sharp attack power. This kind of sword chi was enough to tear steel apart. It was not something that a human's flesh and blood could block. Dodge. Xiaoping's eyes shone. He used his mental power to control everything. He did not panic and used the Kunpeng steps, like a shadow following the body, controlling the airflow. Borrowing the force of the opponent's body, he instantly retreated a distance of 100 meters. With a boom, a ray of sword chi smashed into the ground, leaving behind a deep gash and cracking sounds. Your martial arts cultivation is not bad and your progress is godly. However, martial arts techniques are not so easy to learn. It requires a long period of training, constantly fighting with enemies and tempering yourself. Xie Hao walked on the ground, his expression incomparably relaxed and elegant. He held his sword as if he was a gentleman at a ball. After becoming an elite student, I trained hard every day. Just tempering my sword technique alone takes 5 hours. In fact, in the past 2 to 3 years, I have also sparred with many sword masters and grandmasters, constantly perfecting my martial arts techniques. It can be said that my sword technique has already reached the realm of perfection. You, a freshman, want to compete with me? You must be dreaming. But don't worry, I will immediately wake you up and let you know exactly how big the gap between us is. King Class Sword Technique, Yin Yang Wind Blade Sword. At this moment, Xie Hao used the sword technique that he was proud of. Immediately, sword light flashed and the surrounding air moved crazily. With the help of his powerful qigong, wind blades were condensed. Each of these wind blades contained a terrifying destructive power, like a sharp weapon that could cut through steel. They were indestructible, buzzing in the air, constantly vibrating. So strong. The surrounding elite students were all shocked. Seeing Xie Hao use such a sword technique, all of them were shocked. Although Xie Hao was not the strongest among the elite students, the sword technique that he cultivated made him a threat to everyone present. This king-class sword technique, Yin Yang Wind Blade Sword, had been cultivated by Xie Hao to the realm of perfection. The power of Yin and Yang were perfectly mixed together, causing the sword chi to be boundless and invincible. A single wind blade had the battle strength of a peak first heaven martial master. Now that Xie Hao was controlling dozens of wind blades at the same time, it was as if dozens of first heaven martial masters were attacking Xiaoping at the same time. The power was terrifying. Some elite students believed that Xiaoping was done for with just this attack. Xie Hao roared, unleashing the full power of his energy arts to send dozens of wind blades flying towards Xiaoping. He believed that in the face of such an attack, no matter how exquisite this fellow's footwork was, he would not be able to dodge it. At this moment, Xiaoping took a step forward and formed a circle with his hands. A transparent chi barrier surrounded his body, covering everything within a 1-meter radius with this terrifying chi energy. It was as if Xiaoping were the epicenter of a 1-meter area around him that was completely isolated from the outside world by any means. Dark North Body Protection Technique. Bang bang bang. Dozens of wind blades smashed towards Xiaoping. Like a saw, they crazily collided with the transparent energy shield that Xiaoping had created. They tried to destroy the energy shield and cut it into pieces. But no matter how hard these wind blades tried, they could not damage the energy shield at all. With a boom and a few breaths, these wind blades were immediately shattered. The chi exploded and dissipated in the air. Xiaoping was still standing in the same place and scathed. This is the so-called Yin Yang Wind Blade Sword. This is your strongest attack. Are you trying to tickle me? Xiaoping suddenly made a move. He circulated the qigong in his body and punched in the air. Dong. Like a morning bell and evening drum, this kind of fist energy smashed everything and hit Xie Hao's body. In an instant, Xie Hao was sent flying dozens of meters and the chi energy exploded in the air. How is this possible? Xie Hao resisted the churning blood and chi in his body. He was extremely shocked. You can actually easily block my full power attack and even come out unscathed? What kind of protective technique is this? Why is it so strong? He could not believe that such a thing could happen. In the past few years he had fought with countless experts. Some had broken his sword techniques, some had been sent flying by his sword, and some had been evenly matched. But this was the first time he had seen an unbreakable defense. What a powerful protective qigong. Could it be the legendary Golden Bell Canopy? But it doesn't look like it. Many of the elite students were also shocked. They had not expected Xiaoping to be able to block this attack. With such a protective qigong, no wonder this kid is so confident. If Xie Hao can't break this kid's defense, then he's already in an invincible position. Xie Hao is in danger. Many of the elite students could see that Xie Hao was in danger. If he couldn't break Xiaoping's defense, then there was no way he could win. He's just relying on his protective qigong. That's nothing. He can't hurt Xie Hao at all. One of Xie Hao's companions sneered. No matter how powerful his protective qigong is, he still needs to have true energy. As long as Xie Hao continues to use up the true energy in his body, then he'll be finished. At best, this kid is just a tortoise in human form. He still believed that Xie Hao's victory was in his grasp. It was only a matter of time before he won. At this time, Xie Hao had the same idea. Since he couldn't finish off this kid in an instant, he could just slowly use up Xia Ping's true energy and slowly grind him to death. Although this method was a bit inefficient and would take a long time, he didn't lack patience. I didn't expect you to only have this much strength. I'm a bit tired of it. Xia Ping suddenly opened his mouth and looked at Xie Hao indifferently. Originally, he wanted to see what his opponent was capable of. Perhaps he could use it to hone his martial skills. But now, it seemed that even his defense couldn't be broken. So, there was no need to continue. What, tired of it? Before Xie Hao could figure out what this meant, Xia Ping instantly made his move. He slapped the void with his palm. Clapless palm. This palm was like a heavenly steed soaring through the sky, unrestrained and untraceable. Xie Hao had no idea when Xia Ping made his move. He couldn't even see the angle from which the palm came. It was as if this was a casual palm without any palm technique to speak of. It was like a farmer playing around. However, he felt his hair stand on end. A martial artist's sixth sense warned him that this palm contained a fatal killing intent. The entire air seemed to tremble under this palm. Dong. Chapter 491. How is this possible? Xie Hao was shocked. It was just a casual palm strike that didn't seem to contain much power. However, when the palm hit his body, he felt a terrifying force that was like a flood crashing into him. In just an instant, this ferocious force seeped into his lungs, heavily injuring his body. There were even a few bones that made light cracking sounds. He stood on the ground and supported himself with all his might. He resisted the urge to vomit blood and slid for hundreds of meters, leaving 2 deep marks on the ground before he finally stopped. The clapless palm is really powerful. Xia Ping was very satisfied with the power of the palm strike. Although he had learned a bit of the clapless palm's mysteries through the system's enlightenment, this was the first time he had truly unleashed it. When he blasted the palm strike just now, the martial arts mysteries of the clapless palm flowed into his heart. He felt as though he was in an ethereal realm. A casual palm strike was natural and contained a terrifying force. However, this palm technique is broad and profound. It has the power of a peerless king level. Although I have the enlightenment from the system, I have only just started. I can't say that I have completely mastered it. I have to practice more before I can master it. Perhaps I can take advantage of this opportunity to fight more enemies. Xia Ping's eyes lit up as he stared at Xie Hao in the distance. Whoosh. At this moment, before Xie Hao could react, Xia Ping attacked again from afar. A casual palm strike came from hundreds of meters away, condensing into a terrifying palm print in midair. It was as though Buddha had descended. A huge palm print crushed down from the sky and locked onto his chi. No matter where he hid, he couldn't escape. Oh no! Xie Hao was so scared that his face turned green. However, his body was still in midair. There was no place for him to borrow strength from. Even if he wanted to dodge, it was impossible. With a bang, his entire body was sent flying. His body flew in midair and his limbs lost strength. The long sword in his hand also fell to the ground with a clang. However, this was only the beginning. Xia Ping didn't wait for Xie Hao to fall from the sky. He attacked continuously with his palm strike. Countless palm prints formed in midair and completely surrounded Xie Hao's body. Bang bang bang. Immediately, a series of booming sounds rang out in the entire combat room, and Xie Hao's body was continuously attacked by countless palm forces in midair. Due to gravity, his body wanted to fall to the ground, but he was hit by a palm. When his body rose to the highest point and was about to hit the roof, he was slapped down again. One slap up, one slap down, maintaining a certain rhythm. After more than a dozen consecutive attacks, it was as if Xie Hao was being slapped around like a rubber ball. He had even deliberately controlled the strength of each palm strike so as not to kill Xie Hao. This. The elite students who saw this scene were all dumbfounded. They couldn't believe their eyes at all. Xie Hao clearly had the upper hand and could have defeated Xia Ping in an instant. However, in the blink of an eye, Xie Hao had turned into a ball and was being beaten up by Xia Ping. Bastard, stop immediately. Xie Hao couldn't help but let out a blood-curdling scream as he spat out a mouthful of blood. The palm energy passed through the air and into his body. The terrifying chi energy vibrated within his body, crazily destroying it. It was fine if he was only seriously injured. After all, as a martial artist who hadn't been injured before. But now he was being played around like a rubber ball, like a toy. For him, it was simply a great humiliation. He had lost all his dignity. Yes, this palm should be like this. This is the so-called clapless palm. It means that the heart of martial arts is in an ethereal state, and the heart is like a mirror. It can move according to one's wishes, and it's natural. Countless martial arts profoundness flowed in Xiaoping's heart, and he felt extremely carefree. Although this was a painful experience for Xiahao, it was an excellent sparring partner for Xiaoping. As he slapped out palm after palm, he circulated the cultivation technique in his body and felt the traces of each palm strike. As for the use of palm force, his understanding of the clapless palm deepened. It was as if the essence of this martial arts technique had been integrated into his blood. Although he had been enlightened by the system and seemed to have learned the clapless palm, it was only the beginning. As for the deeper level of martial arts, he needed to slowly comprehend it. One had to know that the clapless palm had a total of 9 layers of force. Right now he had only comprehended the first layer. The destructive power of each layer of the clapless palm was more than 10 times stronger than the previous layer. The first layer was the strongest and most ferocious force, enough to shatter rocks and split gold. With a palm strike, the palm force was indestructible. Even the legendary dragon subduing palm, which was said to be the strongest and most ferocious, capable of subduing dragons and tigers, was probably only at this level. If he could comprehend the second layer and superimpose the 2 layers, the destructive power would be unimaginable. Just as Xiaoping was about to comprehend more, a pig's squeal came from the air. I admit defeat, I admit defeat. Admit defeat? Xiaoping didn't expect Xiahao to finally be unable to endure the torture and chose to admit defeat. With a ding-dong sound, a mechanical voice came from the combat room. Xiaoping wins. Immediately, 2 balls of energy enveloped Xiaoping and Xiahao, separating them immediately. Xiahao was finally lying on the ground, panting heavily. He no longer needed to be beaten up by Xiaoping. At this moment, Xiahao had no strength left in his body. His bones were all broken. Even if he soaked in a high-grade nutrient solution, he would need at least a month to completely recover. Why did you admit defeat? Xiaoping said unhappily, staring at Xiahao. If he had more time, he might have been able to comprehend more of the mysteries of the clapless palm. The benefits would be endless. But now that Xiahao chose to admit defeat, he lost the opportunity to continue comprehending. Why did he admit defeat? Hearing this, Xiahao was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. This guy really knew how to make sarcastic remarks. Didn't he see how miserable he was just now? If he didn't choose to admit defeat, who knew how much more he would be humiliated by this bastard? He was also an elite student of Yanhuang University, a martial master. Now, in the combat room in front of so many people, he was being beaten like a ball by this guy. This was definitely a great shame and humiliation. Even if he lost this duel, he would also lose 1,000 energy stones. This was definitely a heavy loss. Xiahao felt very pained about losing this huge sum of money. It was as if Xiaoping had cut a piece of flesh from his body. It was a bloody pain. Chapter 492. You've really disappointed me. Xiaoping looked at Xiahao condescendingly. Just now, you were clamoring to show me that there's always someone better than you. Now you're doing this to me? The battle hasn't even ended, and you're admitting defeat. Hearing these words, Xiahao's face turned red and then purple. He thought back to what he had just said. He had bragged about how he had cultivated for many years and had perfected his swordsmanship. He had also said that it was impossible for this new student to defeat him. He wanted him to know the difference between them. But now, he had been forced into a desperate situation after only a few moves. He had even been forced to admit defeat. He could only watch helplessly as he was forced to surrender in front of this kid. When he thought about what had happened, he was so ashamed that he wanted to bury his head in the ground. He didn't want to raise his head for the rest of his life. This was too embarrassing. You were bragging about how powerful your swordsmanship was, saying that you were a martial arts elite and that your swordsmanship had perfected. Why are you so thick-skinned? Is this natural? Xiaoping asked curiously. Fuck you. Xiaoping, I'll never forgive you. Xiahao finally couldn't take it anymore. This bastard's mouth was too despicable. It was even more destructive than his martial arts. Every word was harsh and he was utterly defeated. What did he mean by being thick-skinned was natural? Was he, Xiahao, a shameless person? After receiving such provocations in succession, The blood in his body churned, and his lungs almost exploded from anger. He had been forcefully suppressing the injuries in his body, but now he could no longer control himself. He coughed up a large mouthful of blood on the spot, staining the ground red. With a smack, his eyelids rolled and he fell to the ground. He foamed at the mouth and fainted. Fainted from anger? Xia Ping was speechless and helpless. This was the first time he had seen someone faint from anger. This kid's mental fortitude was too weak. He couldn't take any provocation. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this time, 2 or 3 medical staff rushed in from outside the combat room. They seemed to know what had happened. Without saying a word, they put Xia Hao on a stretcher and carried him out, planning to go to the hospital for emergency treatment. At this time, on the first floor of the training tower, many elite students stopped training and watched the duel on the big screen. They were all very interested in this duel and discussed it with each other, expressing their opinions. Everyone stopped discussing. This Xia Ping will definitely lose. That's right. Although he has cultivated a powerful defensive cultivation technique, it is only a powerful defensive technique. As the saying goes, if you defend for too long, you will definitely lose. Xia Hao is also proficient in king-level sword skills, so his attack power is ridiculously strong. Sooner or later, he will pierce through that kid's turtle shell and teach him a lesson. That kid is really stupid. Losing 100 energy stones isn't enough, yet he actually stupidly wants to lose 1,000. Stupidity is incurable, but I like freshmen like this. Otherwise, how can we make money? A few of Xia Hao's companions were very pleased with themselves. They chatted casually, all of them believing that Xia Hao would definitely win this duel. That was because in the history of Yanhuang University, there were examples of freshmen defeating seniors, but they were extremely rare. They were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns and could be counted on one hand. Therefore they believed that Xia Ping had no chance of winning. In fact, it was not just them. Even the others had the same thoughts. At this moment, a mechanical voice rang out in the hall on the first floor. Xia Ping wins. What? Hearing this voice, the hall on the first floor, which was originally in a state of noise, suddenly fell silent. No one spoke. They were all stunned by this sudden news, and they were completely unprepared. Just a moment ago it was said that Xia Hao had the upper hand, but in the blink of an eye, Xia Hao had lost and Xia Ping had won. Impossible. An elite student could not accept this fact and he could not help but scream, why? Why did this bullshit Xia Ping win? That kid is just a freshman, how could he defeat Xia Hao? Indeed, this is too exaggerated. What kind of palm technique is this? He actually used Xia Hao as a ball to hit. Terrible, too terrible. I didn't expect the gap between the two to be so big. Xia Hao did not even have the strength to fight back. I can't imagine how tyrannical this Xia Ping is. Many elite students were shocked. They also saw the scene of Xia Hao being casually beaten by Xia Ping. It was as miserable as a dead dog and he had no strength to fight back. In the end, he actually forced Xia Hao to surrender and admit defeat. One had to know that Xia Hao was an elite student, and he could be said to be favored by the heavens. Such a person's pride was unimaginably high. If not for the fact that he had no other choice, he would not have made such a humiliating decision. Clapless palm, this is clapless palm. However, Dean Zhaoyang immediately recognized that this was a king martial technique that Xia Ping had obtained, clapless palm. Moreover, he had personally taught it to Xia Ping. But what was going on now? He had clearly just taught it to Xia Ping, but in such a short time he actually learned it? Moreover, he had mastered it. The person who was the most shocked at the scene was none other than him. Previously he was still saying that this martial technique was extremely difficult to cultivate, and so far, other than the founder, there was no one who had successfully cultivated it. But what was going on now? He had learned it in the blink of an eye. Zhaoyang felt that his brain had stopped thinking, and he could not help but groan in his heart. What a monster, this was definitely a peerless monster. He had learned a king martial technique in an instant. This kind of thing was too exaggerated, and who knew how many people would be shocked if word of it got out. At this time, Xia Hao fell to the ground, vomiting blood and unconscious. He was carried away by the medical staff for emergency treatment, and Xia Ping also came down from the second floor. Many elite students looked over, and their expressions were extremely complicated. Since the establishment of Yanhuang University's elite area, there had been countless duels between freshmen and seniors, but the number of times that freshmen had won could be counted on one hand. Now there was another one. Xia Ping, congratulations on winning. This time you are rich. Dean Zhaoyang went forward to congratulate him. I won, but it's not satisfying. Xiaoping said carelessly. Speaking of which, are the seniors of the elite area only at this level? They are trash that can be killed with one slap, and they actually dared to challenge me. Isn't this giving me money? To be honest, I am very disappointed. What? Hearing this, all the elite students present widened their eyes in anger. Xiaoping's words were not only targeted at Xia Hao, but they were clearly mocking all of them. Xiaoping, don't think that you can be so arrogant just because you defeated Xia Hao. You are just lucky. Who here is not your senior? You better keep a low profile. Chapter 493. You're not convinced? Xiaoping recognized that the person who jumped the most happily was Xia Hao's companion. He was probably exasperated because he had defeated Xia Hao and humiliated him in public. Just as well. I wasn't satisfied just now. Why don't we have a bet as well? He looked indifferently at the elite student with a crew cut and gave his suggestion. What? All the elite students present were shocked when they heard this. This fellow wasn't satisfied yet. He still wanted to find someone to duel? The elite student with a crew cut had an extremely ugly expression. He was shocked by Xiaoping's words. He had seen the battle between Xiaoping and Xia Hao. Even Xia Hao had been humiliated by Xiaoping in public and beaten like a dead dog. Even if he went up, he would probably end up in the same situation. He had no chance of winning at all. Weren't all of you very arrogant just now? Are you scared now? Xiaoping said in disdain. I wonder which one of you was so rude and arrogant just now. All of you jumped out and clamored to teach me a lesson. I thought all of you were amazing, but I didn't expect all of you to be cowards. You act like a coward when you meet a strong opponent and trample on the weak. To be honest, all of you are just a bunch of incompetent people who bully the weak and fear the strong. You want to advance to the king realm? You're simply dreaming. These words were extremely offensive. It was like a slap to their faces. In front of so many people, their faces were slapped until they were swollen. They recalled how they had teamed up and constantly mocked Xiaoping. They said that if he didn't agree to the duel, he was a coward who didn't live up to his name. These words were extremely vicious and piercing. But now the tables had turned. It was Xiaoping's turn to mock them. All of them were so angry that their faces turned red. What did you say? An elite student's face turned red as he glared at Xiaoping. Not only are you weak, but you're also deaf? Xiaoping said lazily, I can tell you frankly that you are all cowards. Go home and farm. Don't cultivate here. Live a peaceful life in the future. Don't think about useless things all day. Your current strength is your limit. You have to face reality. Otherwise, when the war between the human race and the demon race breaks out, all of you will be cannon fodder. It doesn't matter if you harm yourselves, but if you harm the human race, all of you will be nailed to the pillar of shame and criticized by countless people. Live a peaceful life. The elite students present were so angry that their faces turned green. They had never heard such words before. One had to know that they were elite students, and any one of them would immediately rise to a high position if they went out. If they weren't generals, they would be the higher-ups of a faction. Who could look down on them? But in this fellow's words, they could only go back to plowing the fields and not think about all these nonsense all day long. He even asked them to recognize reality. He was looking down on them. Xiaoping, don't go too far. Several elite students were extremely aggrieved. There was a ball of fire in their hearts. This was the first time they had been slapped in the face by a freshman in public. It made them doubt their lives. When had they ever been so aggrieved and slapped in the face by a little freshman? Dean Zhaoyang's face also twitched. He also felt pain for these elite students. It was clear that he was slapping them to death. He didn't give them any face at all. So what if I go too far? If you have the guts, come and bite me. Xiaoping squinted at them and said arrogantly, but you don't look like you have the guts. After all, your abilities are just like that. Forget it, I'm too lazy to bully you cowards. If you don't agree, then forget it. I'm going back to sleep. After saying that, he waved his hand and wanted to leave. Stop. An elite student shouted angrily and stepped forward to stop Xiaoping from leaving. If Xiaoping was allowed to leave now, then it would be unimaginable what kind of rumors would spread later. At that time, the entire school would probably think that these elite students only knew how to bully the weak and fear the strong. They didn't even dare to accept the challenge of a freshman and were all cowards. Although they didn't admit that they were such people, the public's words could melt gold. After being messed around by this guy, what reputation would they have left? They probably wouldn't be able to raise their heads outside. Since you want to fight, then let's fight. That elite student gritted his teeth and said, I don't believe that a little freshman like you really has 3 heads and 6 arms. He was determined. He definitely couldn't let Xiaoping leave like this. Otherwise, what would others think of him? Yes, don't you want to fight? We'll fulfill your wish. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Let me join in too. I have to let this kid know what it means to be a senior. Me too. Immediately, 7 or 8 elite students stood up and gritted their teeth. Most of them were Xiaohao's accomplices. All of them couldn't stand Xiaoping's attitude and wanted to stand up to teach him a lesson. Really? Don't cry for your parents when you lose. I'm not forcing you. Xiaoping said with a smile. These idiots had really taken the bait. When it came to provocation, who could compare to him? He just casually said a few words and these people would explode in anger. Even a Buddha would be enraged to some extent. Who would cry for their parents? A group of elite students was going crazy. They simply wanted to gang up on him and tear this bastard Xiaoping's mouth apart. They had never seen such a bastard. He never said a good word. A dog's mouth couldn't spit out ivory. Cut the crap. Don't you want to bet on a battle? Just follow us. The rules are exactly the same as before. An elite student didn't want to say anything to Xiaoping at all. Otherwise, if they continued to talk, they would probably be sent to the hospital from anger before the battle even started. Soon, they came to the combat room one by one and applied for a duel again. This time, Xiaoping didn't continue to play with these elite students. He used his full strength right from the start and used a king-level peerless martial technique, clapless palm. He was like a martial Dao master. His palm technique was like a heavenly steed soaring through the sky. The enemy couldn't catch the trajectory of his palm technique at all. It even contained the strength of extreme yang, enough to split gold and crack rocks. It was invincible. With a bang, an elite student was sent flying from head to toe with just one palm. The elite student didn't even get to use a move and was slapped unconscious on the spot. The other elite students weren't convinced. They used all their skills and tried to kill Xiaoping. However, all of them were useless. With just one palm, Xiaoping shattered their protective qigong and sent them flying like a rubber ball. God knew how many bones in their bodies were broken, and they all screamed in pain. In just 3 minutes, 7 or 8 elite students were all defeated. One by one they were sent to the hospital. They also lost 1,000 energy stones. It was a heavy loss. Chapter 494. Pick your face. The group of elite students were all baring their teeth. After seeing this guy's battle just now, who would still dare to foolishly challenge him? Wouldn't that be purely giving this guy money? Who would be so stupid? Although they were also very confident in their own battle prowess, they were only on par with Xiahao. At most, they were a little stronger than Xiahao, but there was a limit. But this guy was a little too abnormal. He had actually beaten Xiahao, completely crushing him. Seeing this situation, no matter how confident they were, they didn't dare to say that they could win. Senior, seeing that you are tall and strong, your martial arts must be incomparably powerful. Come into the combat room and give me some pointers. Xiaoping went forward and greeted an elite student who was 2 meters tall and had muscles that were as strong as rocks. He was very enthusiastic. Pointer's your sister. The corner of the muscular guy's mouth twitched. This bastard could even beat up Xiahao, beating him to the point that he couldn't even retaliate. Consecutively, 7 or 8 elite students were killed by you. This kind of martial arts could already be considered master level. Why would he need pointers? Clearly this guy wanted to cheat him of his energy stones. He could see through this guy's sinister intentions with a single glance. I'm sorry, junior brother. I suddenly feel a little pain in my stomach. I don't have enough strength. I'll give you pointers next time. The muscular guy smiled hypocritically. He held his stomach and screamed. He turned around and ran very quickly, afraid that he would be caught by Xiaoping. If that happened, he would be as miserable as Xiahao. This bald senior, I see that your spear arts have almost reached the transformation realm. Every movement you make has the demeanor of a king. Why don't we enter the combat room and have a life and death battle? Together, we can comprehend the martial arts pinnacle. Wouldn't that be great? Xiaoping came in front of a bald elite student, wanting to invite him to a life and death battle. Fight my ass. The bald elite student bared his teeth. A life and death battle referred to a situation where the difference in strength between the two parties was not too big. In the end, it was difficult to win. Only when there was hope of winning could it be called a life and death battle. If the difference was too big, then it was purely looking for a beating, being beaten up and killed. This guy thought that by flattering him a little, he would be coaxed into agreeing to enter the combat room and then be cheated of a large sum of energy stones by this bastard. This was simply a dream. Did he really think he was stupid? Moreover, if he was beaten into a pig's head, how could he still have the demeanor of a king? Junior, you're too polite. I've been training for a long time today, so I don't have enough stamina. I'll probably need to rest for 3 days and 3 nights before I can catch my breath. I'm afraid I'll have to let you down this time. The bald elite student found an excuse to refuse. Xiaoping blinked his eyes. Not enough physical strength? You've only been cultivating for such a short period of time, and you haven't even broken a sweat, yet you've already exhausted your physical strength to such an extent. You really can't judge a book by its cover. But senior, according to my observations, I'm afraid that your condition is due to kidney deficiency. He looked at her with pity. Empty my ass. The bald elite student's face was as black as charcoal, and he grimaced in pain. He had the urge to rush up and give this scoundrel a good beating. This scoundrel was too maddening. The surrounding elite students had strange expressions on their faces as they looked at the bald elite student with pity. Forget it. Since senior's kidneys are weak and you have a congenital illness, let's fight next time. Xiaoping patted the bald elite student's shoulder, showing an expression that said he wouldn't bully a disabled person. What the fuck, who has a congenital illness? Don't spout nonsense here. The bald elite student was half dead with anger. How could he have imagined that this kid would actually slander him like this? If such rumors were to spread, would he still be able to find a girlfriend? However, Xiaoping didn't care about the bald elite student who was going crazy. He continued to look for his next target. He walked into the crowd and greeted the many elite students very enthusiastically. His attitude was very humble, hoping to spar with the various seniors and give him some pointers on his martial arts, so that he could learn some things and fill in the gaps. However, when those elite students saw Xiaoping's arrival, their faces all turned green. It was as if they had encountered a god of plague. One by one they all ran away looking for all kinds of excuses to avoid the battle. Some people said that the gas in their houses hadn't been turned off yet, so they had to go back and turn it off. Some people said that they hadn't fed the cat at home and were afraid that it would starve, so they had to leave as well. There were also people who said that they had found something fishy about their girlfriends today and were going to catch them in the act. They didn't have time to waste here. All of them had urgent matters to attend to and left the training tower one after another. All of a sudden, the entire training tower's first floor hall became almost empty as if it had been robbed. At the side, Dean Xiaoyang was speechless. This was the first time he had seen such an elite student. He had clearly just become an elite student, so he should have been keeping a low profile here. But now he was simply too savage, scaring a group of seniors half to death and avoiding the battle. If this news were to spread, it was unknown how many people would be scared to death. Sai, today's luck is really bad. There are actually so many seniors who have problems at home. It's either a fire or the gas isn't turned off, or there's something wrong with their bodies. It seems like I can only fight another day. Xiaoping looked up at the sky and sighed. All right, don't be cocky here. Dean Xiaoyang said in a bad mood, the elite students here have all been chased away by you. You better go back to your residence and rest. It was clearly him who had scared away that group of elite students, yet he was still pretending to be innocent here. This kind of skin was too thick. Perhaps even a nuclear bomb might not be able to penetrate it. He looked at Xiaoping. But I haven't received my energy stones yet. Xiaoping expressed that he had not received the energy stones for the bet. Xiaoyang said, you have already signed a bet with those elite students. They will definitely not go back on their words. They will probably send the energy stones to your residence in a few days. Don't worry. After all, the energy stones were physical objects. They could not be transferred immediately. It would take some time to transport them. He paused for a moment before continuing. However, based on your strength, if you can advance to an advanced martial master, you might be able to stand out in the battle of geniuses and obtain a spot to enter the Sky Beast battlefield. Your future will be limitless. Battle of geniuses? Sky Beast battlefield. Xiaoping blinked his eyes and looked at Xiaoyang. He did not understand what these terms meant, but he had heard of the term Sky Beast battlefield from Scorpion Shirsan. However, he was not too sure what it was exactly. The so-called Battle of Geniuses is a competition that only martial masters below the age of 30 can participate in. Xiaoyang said in a deep voice, through this competition, 1,000 peerless geniuses will be selected and sent to the Sky Beast battlefield to compete with the geniuses of the monster race for countless treasures. What kind of place is the Sky Beast battlefield? Why go there and compete with the geniuses of the monster race? Chapter 495. The so-called heavenly demon battlefield is actually a dimensional space. Zhao Yang said solemnly, "This is a battlefield left behind from ancient times. Demon sages once fought there, demon kings shed blood, and countless great demons perished in this dimensional space. Therefore this space became the heavenly demon graveyard. Some of the dead demon sages left behind terrifying resentment, which gave birth to vengeful spirits. Some of their blood was corroded by endless resentment and turned into demons. This graveyard is filled with danger. But because this place was originally a battlefield, countless demon sages perished here. Their artifacts also fell on this land. There are countless treasures here. Even if we enter this battlefield, we might obtain the demon sage's inheritance and obtain endless benefits." His eyes revealed a fiery look. "What?" Xiaoping's eyes widened. "The demon sage's inheritance? The problem is that we are humans and they are demons. Even if we obtain the demon sage's inheritance, we might not benefit much." No. Zhao Yang shook his head. "You still don't understand. After reaching the king realm, there is no essential difference between humans and demons. They are both high-level life forms. The only difference is their appearance. Therefore, the demon sage's inheritance is also extremely beneficial to humans. It is not inferior to the demons. In fact, many of the current king-level cultivation techniques of humans are obtained from the demons. It's just that they have been modified by the kings to become more suitable for human cultivation." He revealed some great secrets about the human race. If this heavenly demon battlefield is so important, why would the demons let us humans enter? Xiaoping asked. Zhao Yang sneered. "Of course they won't let us in. It's just that after a few wars, they finally felt the pain and understood what compromise is, so they allowed us humans to enter the heavenly demon battlefield. And the heavenly demon battlefield that opens once every 3 years has slowly become a battlefield where humans and demons compete. Every time, countless geniuses perish. This is a battlefield of slaughter." His tone contained a hint of killing intent. When does the genius battle begin? Xiaoping was very interested in this. If he could enter the heavenly demon battlefield, he would definitely be able to obtain a large number of treasures. This way he would be more confident in advancing to the king realm. "It starts in 3 months. The head of teaching, Zhao Yang, said, "However, if you want to stand out in the genius competition, you are still far from it with your current strength. You have to at least become a superior grade martial master before you have a chance to qualify. After all, the participants of this genius contest are all geniuses. Furthermore, they have cultivated for many more years than you. Most of them are experts at the peak of the martial mentor realm. It's too difficult for you to win against these geniuses." After a pause, he continued, "The reason why I'm telling you all this in advance is not to discourage you. Instead, I'm telling you about the future 3 years from now. Cultivate hard during these 3 years and advance to peak martial master. Then, you will be qualified to represent humanity and enter the heavenly fiend battlefield to obtain a large number of treasures." He believed that Xiaoping would need at least 3 years to be able to compete with those monsters. He was not looking down on Xiaoping. It was just that there were too many monsters in this world. Each of them had extraordinary talent, and they had cultivated for a much longer time than Xiaoping. It was too difficult to defeat those monsters now. He said that he would be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with those monstrous geniuses in 3 years. This was already quite a high opinion of Xiaoping. 3 months? Xiaoping clenched his fists. He did not take Zhao Yang's words seriously. He did not have the time to wait for 3 years. Right now, he wanted to enter the heavenly fiend battlefield. However, he might be able to improve his qigong to a higher realm in 3 months. In this way, he might be able to qualify for the heavenly fiend battlefield. After that, Xiaoping said goodbye to Zhao Yang. Following the navigation of the smart map, he soon arrived at his villa dormitory in the elite area. Nice house. Xiaoping arrived at his villa in the elite area. He looked around. This villa was 3 times larger than his villa in the ordinary area. It had a garden, a swimming pool, a practice room, an entertainment hall, and so on. There was even an airport for spaceships. If there was a private spaceship, it could land here at any time. There was no need to dock in the airport at all. The security facilities were also very complete. It was estimated that even a guru would not be able to break into this place. What a rich spiritual qi. Xiaoping took a deep breath. He felt that this villa seemed to be in the middle of a source of spiritual qi. The surrounding spiritual qi of heaven and earth gathered in this place, turning it into a holy place for cultivation. Moreover, it was not only this villa. The surrounding villas seemed to be the same. After being arranged by an expert, Each residence was a source of spiritual qi. It was a holy place for cultivation. If one cultivated in this place, the cultivation efficiency would be at least 3 or 4 times higher than in other places. As expected of the treatment of elite students. I don't know how many people are envious of such a cultivation environment. Xia Ping praised and felt very satisfied. He sat on the sofa in the living room and lay down comfortably. This villa was also very well furnished. There was a leather sofa, a smart LCD TV, automatic cooking utensils, an air purifier, a smart cleaning robot and other smart furniture. By the way, what happened today has to be posted on the forum. Xia Ping's eyes flashed. Those elite students tried to threaten and blackmail him just now. He would not forget so quickly. The so-called trampling on people was to trample on them until they had no chance to turn around. When the enemy saw you, they would tremble with fear. Only then would they let it go. This was his style of doing things. Moreover, this was also an opportunity to gain a lot of hatred. He would not let it go. So on the school forum, there was also an additional post. The title was Heartless. A group of elite senior students actually did such a thing to Xia Ping. This sensational title suddenly attracted the attention of the people in the school. After all, Xia Ping was an influential figure in Yanhuang University. His every move was paid attention to by many people. It could be said that he was already a celebrity. It was estimated that even if he posted a picture of eating, there would be tens of thousands of people like it. Holy shit, what the hell happened? Why are they heartless? Did that group of elite senior students do something to Xia Ping? A group of people was immediately attracted. Although they did not see the content of the post, they had already begun to think about it. Someone provided information. I heard that Xia Ping was promoted to an elite student today and has entered the elite area. That's right. Chapter 496. It can't be. Xia Ping is an influential figure and a genius that the higher-ups pay attention to. How could those elite students dare to do such a thing? A group of people was in disbelief. That person sneered, Xia Ping is nothing. He can only be arrogant in the ordinary area. It's different in the elite area. Anyone who can become an elite student is a genius among geniuses. Not to mention their aptitude, they are definitely above everyone else. Moreover, almost all of them have a backer. How could these people be afraid of this so-called Xia Ping? A disdainful look appeared on his face. Indeed, these words are very reasonable. That kid thinks that he can dominate the ordinary area, but when he comes to the elite area, this won't work. The students who stay in the elite area are not good people. Some of them have cultivated for several years and have already advanced to the peak of martial master. How can a freshman like Xia Ping compare to them? It's fine if he is honest, but if he is dishonest and wants to be domineering and cause trouble everywhere, Xia Ping will definitely suffer. I reckon that this time he will really be taught a lesson by the senior students of the elite area, and it's the kind that is unbearable to look at. Many students thought that Xia Ping would definitely be defeated. Some people even mocked and gloated. They really wanted to see Xia Ping be unlucky and taught a lesson. God has eyes. A student looked up to the sky and sighed, that scourge Xia Ping finally has someone who can deal with him. This proves that good and evil will eventually be repaid. It's not that there is no retribution, it's just that the time has not yet come. Many students revealed a look of joy in their eyes. If Xia Ping was beaten up or even humiliated by the senior students of the elite area, then it would really be gratifying. This was a righteous act. It was to eliminate evil for the people. Retribution my ass. These are all headlines. Don't be fooled. A student who clicked on the post immediately cursed. He wasn't taught a lesson by the senior students of the elite area at all. Instead, he taught them a lesson and even made a windfall. What? Many of the students were shocked. They clicked on the post one after another and immediately saw the content of the post. Immediately their expressions changed and they were extremely sullen. It was as if Xia Ping had forcefully stuffed a toad into their mouths. Impossible. A student who saw the content of the post exclaimed, this kid went into the elite area and was provoked by some elite students. Not only did he not lose, but he even won. There were even elite students who were beaten up so miserably that they were beyond recognition. He simply could not believe such a thing. One must know that although Xia Ping was very powerful, he was only a new student. Furthermore, he was a rookie who had just stepped into the martial master realm. What kind of people were those students in the elite zone? Monsters. They were all monsters. Moreover, they had been cultivating there for several years, so their combat power was many times stronger than ordinary students. Even if they were at the same level of cultivation, an elite student would be able to defeat 10 of them. But now all of them had actually lost, and they had even been beaten black and blue by Xia Ping. They had lost a large sum of money. This didn't make any sense at all. It was too exaggerated. However, this post did not only consist of words. There were also many pictures attached, and all of them were of the elite students being beaten up by Xia Ping. There were also pictures of them being carried out of the combat rooms by the medical staff. The pictures were extremely clear. Obviously, these were all secretly taken by Xia Ping with his smartwatch. There's no justice in this world. It's fine that he was tyrannical in the ordinary area, but he can actually be so cocky after entering the elite zone. Is there no one who can deal with this scourge? Does God still have eyes? The person just now was crying bitterly. He was so angry that he fell to the ground and vomited 3 liters of blood. His qi and blood reversed and his qigong churned. He was so angry that he almost went berserk. He was very indignant. Miserable, those elite students are really miserable. Especially that Xiahao. Look at him. He must have had plastic surgery by Xia Ping. Can his father still recognize him? He probably won't be able to. He was beaten up like this. If it were me, I would jump off a building and commit suicide. Are you kidding me? These are elite students. How can they be so weak? They were beaten up like a ball by Xia Ping. They have cultivated for so many years, but they have cultivated to the point of being dogs. Fake goods. These elite students are definitely fake elites. They relied on money from their families and used their connections to get in. Indeed, I'm not bragging. I can beat 10 of these fake goods. That's impossible. It's not that easy to be promoted to the elite students of Yanhuang University. I heard that they have to take an examination. Nothing is impossible. This is a society of human relations. Although there are many elites in Yanhuang University, it doesn't mean that there are no fake goods. Maybe Xia Ping has already met a few of them. That explains everything. Otherwise, why would those elite students lose so miserably? Many students couldn't believe that Xia Ping was actually so fierce. It was fine that he was tyrannical in the normal area, but he was actually like a crab in the elite area. No one dared to provoke him. Some students were extremely sullen. Was there really no one who could deal with Xia Ping? This news soon shook the entire school and was known by countless students. After all, a person who had just been promoted to elite student actually beat up a group of elite senior students and sent them to the hospital. No matter where this was, it would be big news. In just a few hours, this matter had spread to everyone. Many people in every corner of the school were discussing this matter. This was hot news. It could be said that at this time, all the students of Yanhuang University knew that Xia Ping had just entered the elite area and had already beaten up Xia Hao and the other elite students to the hospital. This also made Xia Ping more and more ferocious. And Xia Hao and the others had become the stepping stones for Xia Ping's fame. At this time, in the elite area hospital, Xia Hao and the others were receiving treatment. They had just finished soaking in the nutrient solution and were lying on the hospital bed to rest. Their bodies were wrapped in white bandages like mummies. They grimaced in pain at the slightest movement. Although technology was now advanced and this was not considered too serious an injury, it would still take at least 3 days to completely treat it. Therefore, they could only endure the pain for a few days. Damn it, that damned freshman actually dared to beat me up so badly. I must take revenge. Otherwise, I won't be able to take this lying down. Xia Hao clenched his teeth. Yes, we must take revenge. We lost 1,000 energy stones. We can't just let it go like this. No matter how much he ate, that kid must spit it out and pay back double. A few of Xia Hao's companions clenched their fists. They had also been beaten up badly by Xia Ping. All of them hated him and wanted revenge. What's going on? Why is it so noisy outside? Originally, Xia Hao wanted to say something, but suddenly there was a series of footsteps coming from outside the ward. It seemed like a large group of people was walking toward the ward. Chapter 497. What's wrong? Xia Hao and the rest were shocked. They didn't expect the ward door to be opened. After the door was opened, many people walked in from the outside. There were at least 100 of them. They filled the room in an instant and there was even a queue in the corridor. All of a sudden they were dumbfounded because they had never been so popular before. They were just a little injured and there were so many people coming to visit them. Their popularity was too high. Look, Xia Hao and the rest are really here. Looks like the post on the forum is true. Xia Hao and the rest were really badly beaten up. Tisk Tiske, look at their arms and legs. They're seriously injured. I'm amazed. It will take at least 3 days for them to be able to move freely and a month to fully recover. A group of people said. They were holding high-end cameras in their hands and were taking pictures of Xia Hao and the rest. They were very skilled. The lights flashed. Hearing this, Xia Hao and the rest were stunned. Who were these people? What did they mean by broken arms and legs? How could they be so sarcastic? What did they mean by broken arms and legs? How could they be so sarcastic? Was it really appropriate to speak to a seriously injured person like that? Could it be that these people weren't here to visit them but to watch the show? Xia Hao reacted quickly and shouted, "Who the hell are you people? What are you doing here? Don't you know that this is an important place in the hospital? Unauthorized people are not allowed in?" However, the group of people ignored Xia Hao's words and surrounded him. "I'm a reporter from Yanhuang University Student Times. What are your thoughts on this injury?" A student immediately came up and took a black microphone and placed it near Xia Hao's mouth. "I heard that you are the first batch of seniors to be defeated by a freshman in the past 10 years. This has shaken the entire university. How do you feel about this result? You were defeated by a freshman so easily. Now, many students are suspecting that you are fake students who relied on your connections to become elite students. How do you respond to this suspicion? Did you really rely on your connections to get in? Did you have insider deals with the higher-ups of the university?" "Mr. Xia, please answer my question. You were full of confidence when you challenged the freshman Xia Ping, but now you were defeated and badly injured. How did you feel about this? Can you tell us in detail? Many of our viewers are very interested in this question." A group of student reporters came forward and asked Xia Hao and the others questions. These questions were like a machine gun firing. Regarding this sensational news, these reporters rushed forward in a frenzy, trying to get first-hand exclusive insider information. But after hearing those words, Xia Hao's face turned green. He was so angry that smoke was coming out of his nose. What kind of stupid question was this? They were defeated by a freshman and sent to the hospital. They even lost a large sum of money. They were already extremely depressed. But these bastards still asked them how they felt in their hearts? What was the mental journey like? It was like a man who had been cuckolded and was still being asked how he felt. When he found out that he had been cuckolded, what kind of psychological experience did he have? Feel my ass. Process my ass. What else could he feel? He even wanted to kill them. Xia Hao wanted to kill all the reporters who asked these stupid questions. They were too disgusting. Who would answer such a nonsensical question? The other elite students were also so angry that their faces turned pale. If they weren't seriously injured and didn't have any combat power left, they would have fought with these shameless reporters. Get out, get out. This is a restricted area of the hospital. Unauthorized people are not allowed in. Leave immediately. At this time, the people from the hospital finally arrived. Security guards appeared one by one and chased the student reporters out. Mr. Xia, please answer my question. What do you think about this failure? Yes, I wonder what your next move will be for this freshman Xia Ping who defeated you. Will you challenge him again to wash away the shame of this failure? Even though they were chased out by a group of tall and strong security guards, the group of student reporters were still shouting. They passed their microphones over, hoping to get an answer from Xia Hao and the others. Scram. Xia Hao flipped out. He could no longer suppress the anger in his heart. Half an hour later, the hospital regained its peace. More than 100 student reporters were all asked to leave. The surrounding area was heavily guarded, and many security guards appeared. This was because some student reporters were unwilling to give up and tried to sneak in to get first-hand information. However, Xia Hao and the others were not happy about such treatment at all. This was simply an undeserved calamity. What the hell was going on? Damn it, what happened? Why did the news that we were defeated by the freshman Xia Ping spread to everyone? Even reporters came to interview us. This is too exaggerated. An elite student said gloomily. He still couldn't understand why this happened. Only elite students would know what happened in the training tower. The others shouldn't know. Moreover, there shouldn't be any elite students who would be so bored as to spread this news to everyone. Look, there's news about us on the school forum. An elite student went online and immediately found the hottest topic on the school forum. Xia Hao and the others looked over and saw the content of the post. Immediately, their faces became extremely ugly. Xiaoping. An elite student immediately roared. Such complete content, such accurate photos. Other than Xiaoping, no one else can come up with this. That's right. It must be him. This is a photo taken in the combat room. Other than Xiaoping, who else can have such a photo? He actually put everything about us on the internet. Everyone knows about it. This is a disgrace. This is a great disgrace. Now the whole school knows that we were defeated by a freshman. No wonder so many student reporters came. Damn it, that Xiaoping is shameless to the extreme. He beat us up and still won't let it go. He even wants to completely ruin our reputation. He wants to step on our corpses to climb up. He's extremely vicious. I will not live under the same sky as him. A group of elite students roared. Their faces were red. They were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. Some even spat out a mouthful of blood, staining the white bandages red. Xiaoping, I will never forgive you. Chapter 498. The news of Xiaoping defeating an elite student was not only spread in Yanhuang University, but also outside of Yanhuang University. Many people knew about it. After all, Xiaoping was an influential figure in the entire Cloud Realm. He had almost caused a war between humans and demons, and at the same time he had killed Scorpion 13 and other Demon King's descendants. He was strong and had a bright future. Some martial arts organizations believed that if this young man did not die in the future, he would definitely become a king. Therefore, many martial arts organizations would collect all kinds of information about Xiaoping. At the same time, in the Silver Wolf City Governor's mansion. Isn't Xiaoping one of our suspects? The Wolf King Ye Wudao sat in his study, flipping through all kinds of information. He exuded a domineering aura as if he was the only one in the world. Next to him stood 2 or 3 elders respectfully. They were the members of the Nye family responsible for gathering intelligence. These elders were all at the Master Realm, and their martial arts were unfathomable. Is it possible that he killed my grandson, Nye Zhen? Nye Wudao's eyes were filled with murderous intent. In order to find his grandson's murderer, he had not had a good night's sleep. He swore that he would catch the murderer and tear him to pieces. However, so far they had not found the murderer. There was not even a single clue. After all, the murder took place in the Misty Mountains. It was an independent space and they could not enter the Misty Mountains to investigate. In this case, the clues they could obtain were quite limited. Yes, he also participated in the Misty Mountains and is one of the suspects who killed Nye Zhen, an elder said in a deep voice. However, he is only 18 years old and joined Yanhuang University this year. He is a new student with extraordinary talent, but he was only in the 8th heaven of martial warrior at that time. Zhen was already in the martial master realm. It was impossible for Xiaoping to kill Zhen, so his suspicion is very low. Furthermore, he cultivates fist techniques, not sword techniques. This clue was very important. No matter how talented a martial artist was, it was too difficult to cultivate 2 martial arts to the acme of perfection at the same time. Actually, it wasn't impossible, but it required time. It required months and years of cultivation before it could be achieved. Xiaoping was only 18 years old at most. At such a young age, not only did he have to improve his cultivation by leaps and bounds, he also had to sharpen his martial skills, and at the same time, cultivate the 2 martial arts to the acme of perfection. They felt that this situation was basically impossible. Invincible Nye sneered, martial artist 8th firmament? This is just his cultivation on the surface. Have you ever thought that he was actually hiding his cultivation? In fact, he was already in the 9th heaven of martial disciple realm long ago. He even broke through to the martial master realm the moment he entered the Cloud Mist Mountain range. His strength is exactly the same as Zhen's. This. The elders became silent, because this conjecture was indeed possible, but it was quite far-fetched. After all, among the students, there were some who were stronger than Xiaoping, and some who had a grudge against the Nye family and were proficient in sword techniques. These students were more suspicious than Xiaoping. However, Invincible Nye seemed to be going crazy in his search for the culprit. He couldn't help but be suspicious of anyone he saw, wanting to get to the bottom of the matter. They didn't want to get on Invincible Nye's bad side at this point in time. In short, keep an eye on him. Invincible Nye's eyes gleamed coldly. As long as he really is the murderer who killed Zhen, there will definitely be some traces left behind. Moreover, he obtained the golden glow bead from Zhen's body. I don't believe that he won't be tempted. He will use this treasure for the rest of his life and keep it hidden. As soon as he reveals a trace of his whereabouts, inform me immediately. By then, no one will be able to protect him. A murderous aura emanated from his body, like a wolf king in the grassland, waiting to devour someone. The longer time passed, the stronger the murderous intent in his heart grew. Because one of the Nye family's prodigies died just like that, the loss was too great. It was an unbearable pain. Yes, master. The elders nodded solemnly, but they didn't think much of it. Because every time they found a student who was slightly suspicious, Invincible Nye would remind them like this. They were already numb to it. Even so, they would still send someone to keep an eye on him. A few days later, in a villa in the elite zone, in the training room, Xiaoping sat upright on the ground. Demon cores and demon spirit stones were placed on the ground. These were the treasures he obtained from the demon spirit mine, piled up together. Boom! In an instant, a dark red flame burst out from his body. Like a sun, it immediately incinerated the demon cores and demon spirit stones. A large amount of demonic aura was burned away by the flame. In just a few breaths, these demon cores were melted into pure life energy. Whoosh! Xiaoping circulated his qigong. All 108,000 pores on his body were breathing in and out. A large amount of life energy seeped into his body through every pore. Between heaven and earth at this moment, with Xiaoping as the center, a vortex of energy seemed to have formed. A terrifying amount of spiritual energy of heaven and earth gushed in from all directions, like rivers flowing into the sea. These life energy seeped through his pores and entered the solar furnace in the depths of his dantian. The energy was constantly being calcined, tempered, and rapidly transformed into true yuan within his body. At this moment, the true yuan in the depths of his dantian was so dense that it seemed to have formed a dark red ocean. It gushed out in all directions like a raging sea. The meridians in his body were also like a huge river, containing the water from the sea. They constantly surged and flowed, crazily tempering the meridians in his body. Bang bang bang. When the true yuan energy reached its peak, a meridian would immediately be broken. It was like a tightly shut door being smashed into pieces, causing his body to become even stronger. Even the 2 or 3 hell golden crow cells in his body were awakened at this moment. They were refined by the true yuan and transformed into large amounts of life energy, constantly replenishing his body's potential. The flames on his body became even hotter, spreading out in all directions. It was as though the entire training room had turned into a furnace. The surrounding steel seemed to show signs of melting under such flames. After an unknown period of time, when the demon cores and demon spirit stones were completely refined, the true yuan in his body had reached its peak. Xiaoping's eyes revealed a terrifying light. He could feel several meridians in his body being broken. Up until now, he had already broken through a total of 36 meridians. If someone could look into Xiaoping's body, they would discover that the 36 meridians were like 36 rivers gushing forth. The power contained within them was earth-shattering. At this moment, 3 meridians appeared, forming a triangular shape. They supported each other, complementing each other, forming a faint resonance with the true yuan, causing his body to tremble. Chapter 499. The moment the 3 meridians were formed, the image of a golden crow of hell appeared above Xiaoping's head. This was an illusion formed by the condensation of dark red flames. Every feather on it was condensed from flames. It raised its head to the sky and let out a crisp cry that spread in all directions. Such a terrifying aura stood between heaven and earth, emitting a noble, unfathomable, chaotic, primitive, and other auras. Any living creature that saw this would kneel down, not daring to show any disrespect. This was the phenomenon produced when one's qigong cultivation reached the pinnacle. This is the time. Xiaoping immediately knew that at this moment, whether it was his mental power or the true yuan energy in his body, they had reached the pinnacle of his current realm. He already had the opportunity to break through. It was as if success had come naturally. Dong. With a slight movement of his mental power, the 37th meridian was immediately connected. All the bottlenecks were as weak as tofu, unable to withstand the true yuan in his body. 4th layer martial master. The moment the 37th meridian was connected, Xiaoping immediately knew that he had advanced to the 4th layer martial master realm. This was the realm of an intermediate martial master. Whether it was true yuan or physical strength, they had both greatly increased at this moment. His body had also been tempered a step further, becoming incomparably strong. The golden crystal in the depths of his mind was also melting, continuously strengthening his mental power. It extended into the distance as if the entire world was under his control. This is the 4th layer martial master realm, the realm of an intermediate martial master. Xiaoping clenched his fists. He circulated his mental power and looked inside his body. He felt that his meridians seemed to have more than doubled in strength. They were incomparably tough, and each one had expanded to an unimaginable degree. Even after being tempered by true yuan time and time again, his meridians were as tough as cowhide. What was even more shocking was that each of his meridians had turned dark red at this moment, containing the aura of a demon from hell. It was as if the magma of hell was flowing around his meridians. The true yuan even seemed to have fused with his blood, containing a boundless life force. Legend had it that when one's martial cultivation reached an unimaginable realm, the martial artist's qigong and every cell in the body would fuse as one. At this time, every cell in the body was the main body. Even if one's head was chopped off, cut into pieces, or even crushed into pieces, the remaining cells could quickly regenerate. It could be said that this was the true undying body. However, this kind of realm was something that even a king could not achieve. This was a divine ability that was close to that of a god. However, even though Xiaoping was worlds apart from that realm, he was already showing signs of evolving in that direction. If a king saw this scene, they would definitely be scared out of their wits. However, this was normal, as the Golden Crow of Hell and the Undying Phoenix had the same characteristics. They had the ability to rise from the ashes of fire. This was a power deep in their bloodline. As long as Xiaoping continued to refine the Golden Crow cells, it would only be a matter of time before he became like the Golden Crow, possessing all sorts of incredible abilities. It was not impossible for him to even have an undying body. Kill? Xiaoping suddenly stood up from the ground, took a step forward and punched out. With his body as the center, a terrifying aura immediately erupted. The airflow within a radius of 2 to 3 kilometers was stirred up by his aura. The wind and clouds changed as if it had become the center of a storm. Such a punch blasted through the air, and the metal door of the training room was blasted into pieces. It even extended out hundreds of meters to the center of the courtyard. There stood a rock garden that was over 10 meters tall. It was extremely hard and majestic. However, when the punch blasted over, the huge rock garden was surrounded by a strong wind. The entire rock garden was immediately blown into pieces, and some of the rocks were even blasted into powder. The strong wind also created a deep ravine on the ground, stretching for hundreds of meters. It was as if someone had used an excavator to dig out a tunnel. It was very shocking. As expected of a fourth-layer martial master. That's pretty good power. Xiaoping was very satisfied. The power of that light punch just now was much more tyrannical than what he had done before. After advancing to the fourth-layer martial master, his strength had grown by leaps and bounds. Right, I wonder how much hatred I've gained these days? Xiaoping suddenly thought of this matter. He had been cultivating in seclusion for the past few days, planning to break through to the fourth-layer martial master. He didn't pay attention to what was happening in the outside world. At this time the system said, "Congratulations to the host. Some elite students have developed a great hatred for you. This time you've gained a total of 1.5 million hatred points." 1.5 million hatred points. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. Although this wasn't too much hatred points, it was still a considerable number after accumulating for a long time. And this time, not only did he gain hatred points, but he also received 8,000 energy stones from Xiahao and the others. They were all sent to his villa by the courier the next day. It seems that I already have a lot of resources on me. With these energy stones and the blood dragon pill given by the city lord of Western Desolation City, it won't be a problem to break through to the fifth-layer martial master. However, Xiaoping had just been promoted to martial master. He had to consolidate for a period of time before he could make a breakthrough. Ding dong, at this moment, a notification sounded on Xiaoping's communicator. It seemed that there were a few missed calls in the past few days. It's Liang Quan, the director of the giant company's branch in Yanhuang University? A few missed calls were all from him? Could it be that all the stolen goods have been sold? Xiaoping's eyes flashed. During his seclusion for a few days, he had also handed over all the stolen goods he had obtained from the wind-chasing bandits and the gang to the giant company to sell. If it was an ordinary company, it definitely wouldn't be able to eat such a huge amount of property. However, this was the giant company, one of the 3 giants in the cloud realm. These property were only a small amount. Moreover, as an official member of the giant company wouldn't investigate where these things came from. They would only do their best to help sell them and try their best to ensure Xiaoping's interests. This was one of the benefits of being a member of the giant company. Otherwise, even if ordinary people obtained such treasures, they wouldn't be able to sell these things. If they were sold to ordinary companies and were seen by people with ulterior motives, it was possible that they would even kill and steal the treasures. It was very dangerous. Even if they weren't killed and robbed, they would still be cheated of a large sum of money. Chapter 500. Ding. Immediately, a virtual projection appeared. A fat middle-aged man in a beige suit appeared in front of Xia Ping. He looked like the Maitreya Buddha and was extremely amiable. This was Liang Quan, the manager of the Yanhuang University branch of the giant company. Although he looked kind and harmless now, he was an expert at the peak of the grand power realm. Many people had been defeated by him, which made people tremble with fear. Xiaoxia, your seclusion is finally over. I had a hard time looking for you. At this time, Liang Quan, who was terrifying in the outside world, was very friendly to Xia Ping. It was like a spring breeze. Huh. It can't be. Your cultivation has reached the fourth sky of the martial master realm. Your cultivation speed is too fast. What medicine did you take? Liang Quan's eyes were very sharp. Even through the virtual projection he could see that Xia Ping had made great progress. However, after seeing it he was dumbfounded. Xia Ping's cultivation speed was too abnormal. He had just reached the martial master realm not long ago, but now he had reached the fourth sky of the martial master realm. This was already the realm of an intermediate martial master. Even among the many elite students, this was a cornerstone of combat strength. It's okay. Xia Ping said modestly, this level of strength is still far from enough to win the genius battle. You still want to win the genius battle in 3 months? Liang Quan's mouth twitched. He felt that he had underestimated Xia Ping's ambition. He had just become an elite student, but he wanted to compete with those geniuses who had been elite students for God knows how many years. If it was any other student who said this, he would definitely laugh out loud. However, this person in front of him had almost stirred up the war between the demon race and the human race. He had become a martial master not long after entering Yanhuang University. Such a person's words could not be ignored. Actually, it's not impossible. Liang Quan's eyes flashed. If you can reach the seventh sky of the martial master realm in 3 months, you might really have a chance to win a place in the genius battle. Do you have a way? Xia Ping was tempted. Liang Quan stared at Xia Ping and said in a deep voice, if I'm not wrong, you should be cultivating a fire attribute cultivation method. Yes. Xia Ping nodded. The pure yang immortal art was indeed a powerful fire attribute cultivation technique. Liang Quan continued, fire-type techniques are extremely yang and unyielding and have boundless power. However, as the saying goes, solitary yin cannot grow, solitary yang cannot give birth. If you can find some yin-type treasures that can neutralize your flame energy arts, then you'll be able to complement the yin and yang and fuse fire and water together. With that, your energy arts and cultivation base will advance rapidly. He paused for a moment before continuing. In the savage forest hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from Yanhuang University, there is a place called the Cold Moon Pond. There are many water moon grasses growing there. These water moon grasses absorb the essence of the moon and the cold energy of the deep pool to grow. After absorbing the essence of the moon, they contain extremely pure moon energy. If you can find some water moon grass and make them into medicinal pills, then use your energy arts to assimilate them. You'll be able to fuse fire and water together and the sun and moon coexist. That will be very beneficial to your cultivation. As an expert at the peak of the Grand Master realm, he was very knowledgeable and experienced in martial arts. Therefore he was able to tell Xia Ping's cultivation speed at once, which could be said to have hit the nail on the head. It could only be said that the martial arts cultivation of a Grand Master realm warrior was unfathomable. Savage Forest. Cold Moon Pond. Xia Ping knew that the so-called Savage Forest was a primeval forest hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from Yanhuang University. It covered a large area, and just its diameter alone was tens of millions of kilometers. It was a continuous mountain range, and in the depths of the forest lived many wild beasts and demon beasts. Each of them was extremely terrifying, and even humans could not occupy this primeval forest. However, he had to admit that this savage forest had many treasures, and many humans went to this forest to adventure. Some people could become rich overnight and obtain treasures, but more people became white bones and were completely buried in this primeval forest. It could be said that this was an extremely dangerous place. However, if the Cold Moon Pond really had a spirit medicine like the water moon grass, then he had to go there this time. This was an opportunity to quickly improve his cultivation base. But you must also be careful. Liang Quan warned, because the water moon grass is extremely precious, and each one is very valuable. Especially for the demon race, it is also a rare spirit medicine. Therefore, the cold moon pond has already been occupied by the silver flood dragon king of the 72 caves. The entire cold moon pond is filled with its subordinates, the silver frost snakes. These demon beasts are extremely cruel and they kill everywhere they go. Of course, the silver flood dragon king often secludes himself in the depths of the cold moon pond to cultivate. If there is nothing major, he will not come out. The danger you will face is usually those silver frost snakes. But even so, these silver frost snakes are not easy to deal with. They are extremely fast, like silver rays of light, and can spit out cold air, instantly freezing the enemy. Moreover, they are extremely poisonous. Once bitten and without timely rescue, you will fall to the ground and die in 3 seconds. The most terrifying thing is that there are so many of them. There are at least hundreds of thousands or even millions of them. If they flock together, it is no less than a natural disaster. Everywhere they go, not even a blade of grass grows. His expression was solemn. In the war between the human race and the demon race, these silver frost snakes moved out and easily massacred several human cities. Even high-tech weapons could not exterminate them. When these silver frost snakes came out of their caves, it was also known as a snake disaster. I understand. Xia Ping nodded. Seeing that Xia Ping understood the danger, Liang Quan did not continue speaking. He changed the topic. Alright, those items that you brought back earlier, hand them over to the giant company to sell. Because these items are all best-selling items, it is very easy to sell them. This time, you obtained a total of 150 billion federal coins. It can be considered a huge fortune. Speaking up to here, his tone was filled with envy. To obtain 180 billion federal coins in one go, even if he was at the Grandmaster realm, if he wanted to earn this amount of money, he would have to spend a lot of time. This was simply getting rich overnight. However, he would not ask where these items came from. After all, every official member of the giant company definitely had their own secrets, and he could not delve too deeply into them. 180 billion federal coins. Hearing this number, Xia Ping also sucked in a breath of cold air. Although he already knew that he had obtained a lot of treasures, he did not expect that he would obtain 180 billion federal coins. This was an extraordinary number, and it was also higher than his previous estimation. This was also very normal. After all, he had only made a simple estimation before, and he had underestimated the value of many items. Chapter 501. Ding Dong. In the next second, 180 billion federal coins appeared in Xia Ping's bank account. Including his previous assets, his total assets now exceeded 200 billion federal coins. Even in the entire Sky Realm, this was an extremely wealthy person. This was wealth that ordinary people could never hope to obtain in their lifetime. Of course, compared to kings or some Master Realm monsters, he could not compare at all. How do you plan to spend so much money? Liang Quan asked curiously. This amount of money was so large that even a Master Realm expert like him felt it was a bit of a hot potato. Xia Ping immediately said, I want to modify my private spaceship, the Radiant God. He was more and more aware of the importance of a private spaceship. The Sky Realm was too vast. It could easily cover a distance of hundreds of thousands of kilometers. If humans relied on themselves, they would probably only be able to explore a small area until they died of old age. However, with a spaceship it was completely different. It could fly to any place at will. It was extremely fast and greatly shortened travel time. It was an extremely important means of transportation. Moreover, there were all kinds of powerful high-tech martial arts on the spaceship. Even if they encountered a powerful demon beast, they could escape in time and even kill it. For Xia Ping, there was no equipment more important than the Radiant God. Therefore, after obtaining a large amount of money, the first thing he wanted to do was to modify the Radiant God and enhance its abilities. Modify the Radiant God? How do you want to modify it? Liang Quan raised his eyebrows. He was secretly amazed. He originally thought that a young man like Xia Ping would enjoy himself after obtaining a large amount of money and buy all kinds of luxuries. He did not expect that this kid would know how to modify a private spaceship. This was indeed a very smart move. The longer one lived in the Sky Realm, the more one knew the importance of a private spaceship. With a spaceship, one could go to all kinds of places for adventure. The benefits were endless. However, this kind of common sense could only be understood by warriors who had lived in the Sky Realm for a long time. He did not expect a young man like Xia Ping from planet Yanhuang to understand this so quickly. This was no small matter. Xia Ping's eyes lit up. He stretched out a finger and said with a very serious expression, "First, I want to increase the space of the Radiant God by at least 5 times. Next, I want to add some training facilities on the spaceship such as a gravity chamber, a training room and so on. Modify the engine and increase the Radiant God's speed to at least 10 times the speed of sound. Finally, I also want to enhance the spacecraft's attack system. It can be equipped with nuclear bullets, energy cannons and other equipment. It would be best if these attack weapons can reach the level where they can easily kill a Master Realm demon beast or blast a mountain into pieces with one shot." He listed a few conditions of his own to modify the spaceship. What? Hearing this, Liang Quan was dumbfounded. Not only did the space become bigger, this kid even wanted to add a gravity room on top of it. What did he think the spaceship was? Do you know how much it cost to build a gravity chamber? That was an astronomical figure. Moreover, he also wanted to increase the Radiant God's speed to 10 times the speed of sound. That way, it would be able to fly 10,000 kilometers in an hour, and the 400,000 to 500,000 kilometers would only take a few days. Of course, flying at full speed would cause the spacecraft's engine to overheat. Flying for 8 hours a day was the spacecraft's limit. The rest of the time the spacecraft had to stop and rest. However, each of the engines that could reach such a flying speed was terrifyingly expensive. Even a Master Realm martial artist would want to cry and his face would turn green at the sight of such a number. The most ridiculous thing was that he wanted to strengthen the spaceship's attack system. He even wanted to install energy cannons, nuclear bombs, and so on. What was this kid thinking? Could it be that he wanted to start a war? Or was he thinking of slaughtering a certain demon tribe? It could be said that such equipment was not inferior to some small battleships. To a certain extent, its performance might even surpass them. If it was an ordinary person, this would be an unreasonable request, and the government would send out an order to arrest them. However, Xia Ping was a member of the giant corporation and had all sorts of special privileges. Hence, as long as one had the money, the giant corporation would completely satisfy these requests. Liang Quan calculated and said, "It's not a problem to satisfy these requests. However, to modify it to this extent, it would require at least 150 billion federal coins." Just this modification fee alone was enough to buy 5 Radiant God spaceships. However, this was also worth it, because with such a performance, it was unknown how many times more terrifying it was. It was equivalent to piloting a small battleship, and such combat power was enough to easily annihilate a small demon tribe. No problem. Xia Ping waved his hand. He didn't care at all. In any case, this money was obtained from the Windchaser bandits and unable to help them. It could be considered an unexpected windfall. This was all for the sake of increasing his own strength. In fact, this could be considered a kind of investment. Moreover, such a spaceship could be used for tens or even hundreds of years. This wasn't much at all. In fact, he had absolute confidence that as long as he had this modified spaceship, he would definitely be able to earn even more money. With a ding-dong sound, Xia Ping transferred another 150 billion federal coins to Liang Quan. This way he would only be left with 50 billion federal coins. The modification will take 3 days. Liang Quan said to Xia Ping. When the modification is complete, the spaceship will be sent to your villa. Just accept it at that time. He was decisive and quickly agreed. To the giant corporation this was a small matter. For a spaceship like this, as long as there was money, it could be completed in a matter of minutes. All right. Xia Ping nodded. 3 days later, at a parking garage in the elite district, Xia Ping stood beside the parking garage. The modified Radiant God spaceship was already quietly parked in the empty space in front of the villa. At this time, the size of the Radiant God spaceship was 3 times larger than before. Its appearance was filled with a sci-fi feel, and all sorts of advanced weapon systems were installed on it. It was simply like a dormant ancient beast. If anyone wanted to cause trouble for him, as long as they weren't at the King Realm, he would be able to easily kill them. What satisfied Xia Ping the most was that the spaceship was equipped with a gravity training room. It could automatically adjust the gravity to provide an environment with 1 to 20 times the normal gravity. Cultivating in such a gravity training room would definitely yield twice the results with half the effort. Moreover, when the spaceship was flying, he wouldn't waste any time. He could continuously improve his martial arts cultivation. It's time to head to the Cold Moon Lake. Xia Ping clenched his fists. This trip to the Cold Moon Lake was a must. Not only was the water moon grass extremely helpful to his cultivation, but more importantly, the place was filled with dangers and many demonic beasts. Heading to this dangerous place, he could fight with many demonic beasts and hone his martial arts skills. This was extremely beneficial to improving his martial arts cultivation. It could be said that in order to improve his cultivation as soon as possible and advance in the Genius Tournament, he had to head to the Cold Moon Lake. Moreover, he also felt a sense of urgency. Although no one knew that he had killed Nie Zhen for the time being, there was no guarantee that he would give himself away at any time and be discovered by the Wolf King. Chapter 502. In the sky, a flying ship was flying at 10 times the speed of sound. It tore through the air like a gust of wind, heading into the distance. This flying ship was Xia Ping's radiant god. At this time, it had already flown for 7 days. It had finally flown from Yanhuang University to the edge of Savage Forest. Savage Forest had many mountains, one after another. The plants were lush and lush. Many trees stood tall, each of them extremely huge. They were hundreds of meters tall, and it would take 4 to 5 people to wrap their arms around them. From time to time, terrifying roars of demonic beasts could be heard coming from the depths of the forest, giving off a wild aura. It was as if this forest had always been like this since ancient times. At this time, Xia Ping was in the gravity room of the Radiant God, cultivating in seclusion. Because the Radiant God could be controlled by the AI, there was no need for Xia Ping to worry at all. Therefore, he could cultivate in the gravity room without worrying about anything else. Phew. Xia Ping slowly opened his eyes and let out a long breath. Boundless quintessential qi vibrated in his body. The quintessential qi he spat out contained a terrifying power that could shatter steel. Furthermore, this power was under 5 times the gravity. It was terrifying. 5 times the gravity indeed. The effect of cultivation is too good. Xia Ping could not help but sigh. This was the first time he had entered the gravity room to cultivate. However, he soon realized the great benefits of cultivating in the gravity room. Under such gravity, be it his strength, speed, or the circulation of quintessential qi, they all became 5 times slower. The originally easy movements became extremely strenuous. The effect of this gravity was omnidirectional. Not only did the muscles and bones have to bear the great pressure, but even the weak internal organs also had a hard time under the pressure of the gravity. If it was an ordinary person, such gravity would have ruptured their internal organs and even their capillaries, putting their lives in danger. However, to Xia Ping, who had entered the martial master realm, this bit of gravity was nothing. In just 2 or 3 days, he had completely adapted to the environment of 5 times the gravity. He could walk freely and at the same time he could use his strength at will. Once he got used to the gravity, Xia Ping felt that his body had been greatly tempered. It was like a piece of steel that had been tempered thousands of times, becoming extremely strong. Even the meridians of the body were tempered to be very tough. No matter how the boundless quintessence attacked, it could not harm the meridians in the slightest. This was a great benefit. At the same time, Xia Ping also brought out 200 to 300 energy stones to absorb them. He absorbed all the energy within them and converted it into primary energy to enhance his body's potential. These 7 days were not wasted. With such a superior environment and abundant resources, he was able to break through 2 or 3 meridians, greatly increasing his true essence. If I continue to cultivate in this gravitational room, I might be able to break through to the 5th heaven of martial master in a month. Xia Ping clenched his fists and felt the abundant energy in his body. He felt extremely confident. Ding dong, at this moment, a system voice sounded from the flying ship. Master, we have arrived at a distance of 150 kilometers from the Cold Moon Lake in the Savage Forest. Do you want to continue? Have we arrived? Xia stood up, a cold glint in his eyes. No, find a valley nearby and land temporarily. Don't let the demons discover us. If he landed directly on the Cold Moon Lake, the commotion would be too big. It might even awaken the Silver Flood Dragon King. If he angered a demon king, it would not be a joke. He would definitely die. Thus, he chose to temporarily park the flying ship near the Cold Moon Lake and secretly advance alone. This way he would not need to alarm the Silver Flood Dragon King and obtain the Water Moon Grass. With a clap, the Radiant God chose a remote valley to land and use this place as a temporary parking spot. Xia Ping opened the cabin door and walked out. The instant the flying ship landed, all the creatures in the valley seemed to be alarmed. When they saw Xia Ping walk out of the cabin door, it caused an uproar. It's a human? Damn it, a human actually dares to appear in the savage forest. He must be courting death. I haven't eaten a human in a long time. This is a great opportunity. Even the heavens are helping me. Little ones, kill him and we'll have an extra meal tonight. Wolf demons immediately appeared in the valley. Most of them were in the martial practitioner realm, but there were a dozen or so wolf demon leaders who seemed to have advanced to the martial master realm. The strongest one was a martial master of the fifth heaven. This was a wolf demon valley. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Immediately, a large number of wolf demons roared angrily. The sound waves reverberated. They wanted to kill Xiaoping. There was no need for any reason. Humans and demons could not coexist. They would kill each other the moment they met. There were also quite a number of demons that were extremely savage and treated humans as delicious food. You're really courting death. Seeing these wolf demons pouncing over, all of them bared their fangs. The air was filled with the smell of blood. Xiaoping's eyes flashed coldly and he took a step forward. Boom. Immediately, a huge dark red flame emerged from Xiaoping's body. It was like a sun. Countless flames erupted, engulfing a radius of 1 kilometer. Bang bang bang. The flames exploded in all directions, bombarding the wolf demons. When the flames landed on the wolf demons, they all let out shrill screams. Their bodies were immediately set on fire, contaminated by the terrifying flames. However, no matter how they struggled, even rolling on the ground, they could not get rid of the flames. The flames would only extinguish when their bodies were burned to ashes. This was how terrifying Xiaoping was now. After advancing to the fourth heaven of the martial master realm, the temperature of the flames he controlled had increased by more than a few hundred degrees. These flames could even instill his spiritual power, like the fire of the soul. Unless the opponent had a power far greater than his, a unique treasure, or he chose to extinguish the flames automatically, the flames would never be extinguished. Instead, they would become more and more intense until the opponent was reduced to ashes. Human. Immediately, the wolf demon leaders were in despair. Their bodies were on fire. Enduring the pain, they pounced over crazily, wanting to perish together with Xiaoping. Slap palm. Xiaoping stepped forward and slapped out with his palm. Dense palm prints appeared in the sky, condensing into a solid substance. They displayed the power of extreme yang, which was incomparably terrifying. With a boom, the wolf demons that pounced over were all slapped by this palm print. In an instant, their internal organs were shaken to pieces. Their bodies were torn apart and large amounts of blood flowed out, staining the ground. A few minutes later, all the wolf demons in this valley died tragically. Not a single one was left alive. Chapter 503. How easy. For the current Xiaoping, killing all the wolf demons in the valley was just a small test of his skills. Also, after stepping out of the 5 times gravity room, he felt that his strength had increased by a level. The strength of his every move was much stronger than before. When the dozen or so wolf demon leaders attacked him, he simply slapped them to death with a light palm. It was much easier than before. Walala, Xiaoping made a grabbing motion with his hand and immediately picked up the demon cores on the ground. These were the life essences left behind by the dead wolf demons. They were very valuable. He used the technique in his body and the image of the sun furnace appeared, instantly refining the demon cores. Large amounts of demon chi were burned and purified. Immediately, large amounts of life energy flowed into Xiaoping's body, strengthening his quintessential energy. The quintessential energy in his meridians flowed like the ocean. Not bad, this place is not bad. It's suitable to be a place to park my flying shuttle. After killing all the wolf demons, Xiaoping decided to temporarily take this valley for himself. After all, this valley was a gathering place for ordinary wolf demons. It was like a nest. With these wolf demons as deterrents, no other demons would come to live in this valley for a short period of time. It was a suitable place to park his flying shuttle. The Cold Moon Pond is 150 kilometers ahead. It's not very far. I'll just run there. Xiaoping activated the holographic projection and a part of the savage forest appeared. Then he found the location of the Cold Moon Pond and immediately used the Kunpeng steps. A pair of quintessential energy wings grew on his back and he leaped towards the trees at a very fast speed. The radiant god stopped at this place and activated the concealment system. It distorted the light and hid in the valley. If no one touched it, they would definitely not discover the radiant god's existence. So, after running for tens of kilometers, he sensed many demon beasts lurking in the depths of the forest. There were dangers everywhere, but Xiaoping ignored them all and advanced at full speed. Some of the demon beasts that tried to find trouble with Xiaoping were completely shaken off by his speed. Even if they rode on horses, they would not be able to catch up. There's a battle ahead? At this moment, Xia Ping sensed that there was a battle ahead. There was an intense tremor in the air. At the same time, there were shouts of killing. It was a battle between martial masters. With a thought, he immediately chased towards the center of the battle. In the forest. Damn it! Don't you know that we're from the Zhou clan? If you dare to kill us, the Zhou clan will definitely not let you off. They will definitely tear you into pieces. Once my father finds out about what happened today, you will not be able to escape death even if you flee to the ends of the earth. We are graduates of Yanhuang University. If you kill us, Yanhuang University will not let you go. Immediately, 4 or 5 young men shouted angrily. Among them, a young man in white with a feminine face was shocked and angry. His heart was burning with anxiety as he tried his best to resist the enemy's attack. There were 12 or 13 people attacking them. Each of them was vicious and merciless. Their cultivation had reached at least the 3rd heaven of martial masters. Some were even at the 5th heaven of martial masters. However, the strongest among them was only a 3rd heaven martial master. Compared to this group of enemies, the difference was too great. These people were disciples of the Zhou clan? A top student from Yanhuang University? I heard that the Zhou clan is also a king clan with extraordinary power. Furthermore, being able to enter Yanhuang University, they are definitely not simple. Even if they did not become elite students, their status is still above everyone else. So what if the Zhou clan is powerful? This is Savage Forest. There are many demonic beasts and it is desolate and uninhabited. If a few people die here, who can find us? That's right. Now that we have attacked them, we have already formed a great grudge. If we don't eliminate them now, do we have to wait for them to return to their clan and send an army to eliminate us? We definitely cannot do something like releasing the tiger back into the mountain. We can only blame this group of young masters for being unlucky. Who asked them to meet us? Furthermore, they are carrying treasures on them. Swaggering around in a place like Savage Forest, if they don't die, who will? The 10 or so criminals discussed and quickly made a decision. They wanted to kill these 4 or 5 Zhou clan disciples. They had to eliminate them completely without mercy. After coming to this conclusion, they were even more vicious and merciless. They no longer had any reservations. These 5 Zhou clan disciples were facing an extremely great pressure and immediately felt like they could not hold on any longer. It's over this time. The feminine-looking man's expression was extremely unsightly. Originally, they had left their clan to adventure in Savage Forest, hoping to have a fortuitous encounter and become outstanding, reaching the heavens in one step. If they could find some precious spirit herbs in Savage Forest that could help them be reborn, they would have struck it rich. However, they did not expect that Savage Forest was a lawless zone. There were people who adventured, people who sought treasures, people who trained, but there were also people who harbored ill intentions and wanted to kill people to snatch their treasures. If one did not have sufficient strength and continued to adventure in Savage Forest, they would become fat sheep for others. After all, this place did not have the laws of the Federation nor the police. Furthermore, it was desolate and uninhabited. Even if you were killed, no one would be able to find your corpse. You would have died for nothing. If I had known earlier, I would not have come. A young man felt so regretful that his intestines turned green. His entire body trembled. They were hoping to get lucky. Although they knew that there were many criminals in Savage Forest and that if they were not careful, they would be targeted and killed for their treasures. However, they thought that they had advanced to the martial master realm and had a certain degree of ability to protect themselves. Furthermore, they were hoping that they would not be so unlucky as to meet bandits. However, things were just so coincidental. Not long after they entered Savage Forest, they were targeted. They could not escape even if they wanted to. Jia Zhou clan disciples? Die for me. Immediately, 2 or 3 bandits laughed coldly. They waved the swords in their hands and a sword chi flashed. They wanted to kill this group of people. We are dead. Immediately, this group of Zhou clan disciples revealed a look of despair. Even if they were beaten to death, they would never have thought that they would die in this desolate place. They clearly had a bright future, but now there was nothing left. Xiao. However, just at this moment, 2 or 3 rays of light suddenly flew through the air. They broke through the air at an extremely fast speed, even exceeding the speed of sound. With a poochie sound, the 3 sword-wielding bandits did not know what happened. A bloody hole immediately appeared on their foreheads. Their eyes were wide open and blood dripped down. Chapter 504. What? Seeing this sudden turn of events, not only were the criminals who were chasing after the Zhou clan disciples, but even the Zhou clan disciples were completely dumbfounded. They did not know what had happened at all. Dead? One of the Zhou clan disciples was stunned. He looked dumbfoundedly at the three criminals who had fallen to the ground. When they fell to the ground, they were still holding onto their swords tightly. However, their eyes were wide open. Deep in their pupils there was fear, unwillingness, and confusion. It was as if they did not know what had happened. They had been killed just like that. What's going on? The effeminate young man was also a little puzzled. The three of them were obviously strong and had strong bodies, but they suddenly fell to the ground without any abnormalities. Whoosh! Before they could figure out what was going on, there was an air-piercing sound coming from the depths of the forest. With a strong wind, a figure instantly appeared in front of everyone. This person was Xia Ping. Who are you? One of the criminal leaders stared at Xia Ping. He could feel the tyrannical aura coming from this young man. It was like a towering mountain, unshakable. However, Xia Ping was clearly only a 4th-tier martial master while he was a 5th-tier martial master. His strength was at least a level higher than Xia Ping's, but he did not know why his heart felt extremely heavy. He did not feel that he had any hope of winning. The other criminals were also battle-hardened experts who had killed people like flies. Naturally, they could also feel the terror of the young man in front of them. He was definitely a ruthless person who had killed countless people. He was completely different from the Zhou clan disciples beside him. They are students from Jianghu University and can be considered to be from the same sect. Can you give me some face and temporarily spare their lives? Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back. If you agree, I will allow you to leave alive. His tone was very calm, as if he was saying something natural. Initially, he did not want to make a move. After all, there were too many cases of killing and robbing in the Cloud Realm. If he had to deal with everyone, he would not have enough time. However, the other party was from Jianghu University and could be considered to be from the same sect as him. He had also received a lot of care from Jianghu University and could be said to have benefited a lot. As an elite student, he naturally had the obligation to help these students from Jianghu University. Of course, if the enemy was too strong, he would not foolishly send himself to death. However, these criminals alone could not make him feel the slightest bit afraid. What? Hearing these words, the criminals at the side were like cats whose tails had been stepped on. They went crazy. This brat was really arrogant to the extreme. He had killed 3 of their companions the moment he attacked, and now he wanted to make them leave with their tails between their legs with just a few words. If this wasn't arrogance, then what was? If this kid was a grandmaster, they would turn around and leave without a second word. They were afraid that they would not be able to escape. However, this young man was only a 4th-layer martial master. In terms of strength, he was not far from them. In fact, they had the advantage in numbers. Bullshit. You killed our people and you want us to leave with our tails between our legs? Who do you think you are? We're allowed to leave here alive? Do you think you're a grandmaster? Destroy him. Let him know that acting bravely for a just cause isn't a good thing. The group of criminals shouted angrily and glared at Xia Ping. As soon as they finished speaking, they instantly attacked, exploding with the tyrannical strength of a martial master. They were like a human-shaped tyrannosaurus, surging in all directions like a tidal wave. He's too stupid. How dare he come up alone? Isn't he courting death? A Zhou clan disciple's face was pale. He had thought that he would be able to get out of danger with an additional helper. However, this kid was alone, yet he was facing so many criminals. He was clearly courting death. That kid is stupid. We can't be stupid like him. Let's take the opportunity to leave while he's fending off those criminals. Another Zhou clan disciple's eyes flickered. He wanted to take the opportunity to leave. They had the same thought. Although the person in front of them had helped them, it would not end well for them if they continued to stay here and fight to the death with the criminals. They might as well take the opportunity to leave. However, before they could do anything, Xia Ping suddenly moved. He took a step forward and let out a loud roar. 8 heavenly dragons music. Oh, go, ba, ma, ta, 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 ta. In an instant, the world condensed into these 8 syllables. Quintessential essence gathered and solidified. After advancing to the 4th firmament of a martial master, Xia Ping's strength had grown by leaps and bounds. Now that he used the 8 heavenly dragons' music, it had a trace of the might of the heavenly dragon's roar. When the syllables exploded, it produced an extremely terrifying sound wave power. Even the air turned into ripples. The waves swept in all directions, covering a radius of a kilometer. These Zhou clan disciples were clearly not attacked, but when they heard the sound, they felt as though their eardrums were about to burst. The blood in their bodies churned as they retreated. The group of criminals who were attacked by the 8 heavenly dragons' music were even more miserable. Bang, bang, bang. Their bodies seemed to have been struck by lightning. The sound waves reverberated in their bodies hundreds of times. It was as though they had been attacked by a peerless expert thousands of times. Pooh! With a loud sound they stood on the spot, bleeding from their orifices. Their eyes were wide open. They could not even move a single step before they were killed by the sound waves. At this moment, the ground seemed to have been swept by a storm, forcefully plundering a layer of the ground. Hundreds of cracks appeared, densely packed like spider webs. In the distance, rocks that were half the height of a person were shattered into pieces. You must be joking. When the Zhou clan's disciples saw this, they were all dumbfounded. They simply could not believe their eyes. Just a single roar had killed a large number of martial masters. And now there were only 2 or 3 of them left alive. They were even experts at the 5th firmament of a martial master. But even if they were still alive, their internal organs were severely injured, and they could not help but cough out blood. Monster, this kid is definitely a monster. We've kicked a metal plate. Hurry up and run. Let's go back and inform the boss. The remaining 3 criminals no longer dared to be arrogant. Having more than half of their companions killed in an instant, their prestige had long been destroyed. How could they still dare to complain? They did not even dare to say anything vicious. They quickly fled in 3 different directions, hoping to escape with their lives. Xiaoping's eyes flashed coldly as he punched the air. Myriad beast fists 8th move, white crane slash. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, the shadow of a white crane seemed to appear behind him. He stood on 1 foot, like a peerless sword Dao grandmaster. Plants and trees could be used as swords. Immediately, dozens of sword chi burst out, piercing through the air like bullets. Chapter 505. Too strong. When they saw all these villains were killed by Xiaoping, all these Zhou clan disciples turned pale with fright and were extremely shocked. Such a combat strength was simply formidable to the point of being a complete mess. If they were in his shoes, they would not be a match for this young man at all. He could kill them in a few breaths. Brother, thank you for saving us. The effeminate young man stood up and cupped his hands. We are all disciples of the Zhou clan. My name is Zhou Hao, this is Zhou Jie, Zhou Kong, Zhou Mu, Zhou Tu and Zhou Hua. May I know your name? He introduced himself and looked at Xiaoping with burning eyes. Xiaoping, also a student of Yanhuang University. Xiaoping reported his name. The other members of the Zhou clan did not have any reaction. Although the matter of the humans and the demonic beasts almost going to war had caused a huge commotion, there were also many people who did not pay attention to this matter. Even if they did, most people did not know that the culprit was Xiaoping. Only the students of Yanhuang University and some people with ulterior motives would notice. Therefore it was normal that they did not know Xiaoping. At this moment the young man Zhou Hao looked at Xiaoping and asked curiously, Brother, you should be very young but you have already advanced to the martial master realm. Are you an elite student of Yanhuang University? Yes. Xiaoping nodded and did not hide anything. The other Zhou clan disciples were extremely shocked. Those who could become elite students of Yanhuang University were all monsters, unparalleled geniuses. They had the qualifications to be kings. It was no wonder that this kid was so strong. He was only a 4th layer martial master, yet he could easily kill more than 10 criminals without suffering any injuries. Amazing. Zhou Hao looked at Xiaoping with jealousy and said, Brother Xia has improved so quickly, your family must be very powerful. May I know which family you are from? He believed that this kid must have relied on the huge resources of his family to improve so quickly and become an elite student. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to have such powerful combat power at such a young age, and with his own hard work. No family, just a commoner, Xiaoping said indifferently. Commoner? Hearing this, Zhou Hao's spirit was lifted. He immediately felt a sense of superiority. So that was it. This kid was just a commoner. If that was the case, he did not have much of a background, so he did not need to worry too much. Thinking of this, his attitude changed slightly. Brother Xia, have you heard of my Zhou clan? The ancestor of the Zhou clan was known as the king of Shangzhou. He was the king of the business world, and the Zhou clan was also filthy rich. Their wealth could rival a country. If you are willing to join my Zhou clan and become a guest of the Zhou clan, You will definitely receive the recognition of the ancestor. This way, in the future, Brother Xia will definitely have a meteoric rise and stand out. Even becoming a king might not be impossible. He wanted to recruit Xia Ping. To the various king clans, they were like massive martial arts organizations. They hoped to recruit all kinds of talents into their clans. This way, they would be able to develop and strengthen their influence. However, after joining these families and obtaining the resources of these king families, they would become their subordinates. Their freedom would be greatly restricted, and they wouldn't be able to do as they pleased. No need. Xia Ping waved his hand. He wasn't used to being subservient. Zhou Hao was unwilling to give up. He continued to ask, Brother Xia, do you really not want to consider it? With the support of my Zhou clan, Brother Xia's future will be limitless. If you're a loner without any support or resources, even if you have talent, it will be extremely difficult for you to advance to become a king. He wanted to persuade Xia Ping with all his might. No need. Xia Ping flatly rejected. Since you guys are fine, I will take my leave first. He didn't want to waste time talking to Zhou Hao and the others. He wanted to leave immediately. With the giant company as his backing, it was unknown how much stronger the Zhou clan was. The resources and connections they could provide were also countless. Even a small Zhou clan wanted to recruit him and even took out some empty promises to make him work for them? Did they really think that he was a fool? Wait. Zhou Hao called out to Xia Ping. He then changed the topic. If Brother Xia doesn't agree, it's fine too. However, we were attacked by bandits and suffered some injuries. If we continue to stay here, it's very possible that we would be attacked by other bandits. If it's convenient for Brother Xia, can you send us out of the savage forest? He raised another request. The other Zhou clan's disciples all had looks of anticipation in their eyes. They were afraid of staying here and didn't want to leave even for a moment. Send us out of the savage forest? Do you want me to send you back to a human city? Xia Ping frowned as he coldly laughed in his heart. He felt that this Zhou Hao was getting more and more insatiable. He had saved Zhou Hao's life, and that was already considered a great favor. Now he actually had so many requests? What did he take him for? Was he a subordinate of the Zhou clan? Naturally, if Brother Xia doesn't mind, it would be best if you could send us back to a human city. Zhou Hao's skin was extremely thick and he didn't seem embarrassed at all. After hearing this, Xia Ping didn't want to continue talking to Zhou Hao. The reason why he saved Zhou Hao and the others was because they were all from Yanhuang University. But this didn't mean that this brat would be insatiable and take advantage of them. He waved his hand and resolutely rejected, I still have things to do here. It's not convenient for me to leave the savage forest. You guys can leave by yourselves. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a whoosh. Xia Ping leaped up lightly like a rock and left in a few breaths' time. Even if the Zhou clan's disciples wanted to persuade him to stay, they couldn't. Very soon, his figure completely disappeared into the forest. Fuck. Seeing Xia Ping leave, one of the Zhou clan's disciples cursed. That commoner called Xia Ping is too arrogant. He clearly saved us, so why didn't he send us out while he was at it? As the saying goes, to save a person to the end. If we were to leave and we were caught and killed by criminals, then he would be the one who caused our deaths. He was very dissatisfied with Xia Ping's attitude. Isn't that right? He actually dared to reject us. He's not giving us any face at all. This is a chance to befriend our Zhou clan, but he doesn't know how to cherish it. He doesn't understand the ways of the world at all. No wonder he's an ordinary commoner. He has no manners at all. I wonder how his parents raised him. A few of the Zhou clan's disciples cursed loudly. They were extremely displeased. They were disciples of aristocratic families, and everyone would try to curry favor with them when they were outside. Now that they met someone who treated them like this, they felt very dissatisfied. They felt that this brat didn't do his job well. This is what a so-called genius is like. He's eccentric and doesn't fit in with the crowd. Zhou Hao sneered, but he doesn't want to leave the savage forest. He's probably searching for treasures in this place. Chapter 506. Treasure Hunt. The Zhou clan's disciples looked at Zhou Hao. They understood what he was implying. He only has one purpose in coming to the barbaric forest, and that is to find treasures. Zhou Hao's eyes flickered. Moreover, he is alone. I can imagine that he is bold and fearless. Of course, it is also possible that he has found a secret treasure location and wants to take it all for himself. If we follow him, we might have a chance to get a share of the loot. His eyes revealed a greedy look. Follow him? I don't think that's a good idea. Although that guy is a little arrogant, his strength is not fake. That's right. If we are not careful, we will be discovered by him. When that happens, it will not make sense. The Zhou clan's disciples were also a little tempted. If they could follow such an expert to search for treasures, they might have a chance to pick up some scraps. They might even be the oriole behind the mantis stalking the cicada. The problem was that Zhou Hao's martial arts were very strong. It was too difficult for them to follow him without being discovered. "It's okay." Zhou Hao sneered. "I have a secret treasure with me called the Invisible Pearl. If I use my Qigong and completely activate the power of this secret treasure, I can distort light and achieve the effect of invisibility. Even our aura and the sound of our footsteps will be isolated by an invisible energy. Even a peak grandmaster will not be able to discover our existence." What? Hearing this, the Zhou clan's disciples were all shocked. "Invisible pearl? Why do you have such a treasure with you? If you do, why didn't you take it out earlier?" If they had used this treasure from the beginning, they would not have been discovered by those bandits. "To tell you the truth," Zhou Hao said, "this invisible pearl was secretly taken from my father's room. I took it out for this adventure in the barbaric forest. After this is over, we must return it. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. If it is not necessary, I will not use it casually. But now is the best opportunity. If we can follow that guy and obtain the treasure, then this trip will not be in vain. We will not have to leave with our tails between our legs." He was also a little regretful. If he had known earlier, he would have used this secret treasure. Fortunately, someone had come to save him just now. Otherwise, they would really be dead this time. And he, Zhou Hao, would not even have the chance to use the treasure. So that's how it is. It was stolen from home. If this invisible pearl is really that powerful, then we'd be fools not to follow it. A treasure that even such a powerhouse covets, how could it be anything but ordinary? Perhaps the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Hee, who asked that kid to be disrespectful to us? This time we must make him suffer a big loss. A few Zhou clan disciples laughed cruelly, and they decided with a few words. With the bead of concealment, no one would be able to notice their tracking, and they were simply in an invincible position. "Alright, there's no time to lose. Let's chase after them immediately." With a paw, Zhou Hao immediately took out a transparent pearl the size of a fist. It seemed to contain a cloud of mist. It was unfathomably deep and seemed to have an unimaginable power. Boom! As soon as Zhou Hao touched the pearl, he rotated his energy arts and sent some true energy into it. Instantly, the pearl began to emanate strange fluctuations of power. The ripples enveloped Zhou Hao and the others, causing light to distort. It was as though they had become one with their surroundings. Even their auras had disappeared completely. It was as though they had completely disappeared from the world. Amazing, truly amazing. It really is an invisible pearl. I didn't expect it to have such unbelievable power. As expected of a treasured artifact. It's priceless. Such a treasure is priceless. With this magic treasure, no matter how big the world is, we can go anywhere. The Zhou clan disciples used various methods to prove that they were indeed in an invisible state. Instantly they laughed loudly and were overjoyed. Their morale immediately swelled. "Let's go." Zhou Hao gave the order. So. They immediately set off, chasing in the direction that Xiaoping had left. Not long after Zhou Hao and the others left, several tens of middle-aged men wearing vests appeared from the forest. All of them had scars on their bodies and looked ferocious. They were like a group of bandits. Damn it, they're really dead. A man with a scar on his face stared at the corpses on the ground. His expression was extremely gloomy. I tried to contact Third Brother Yi and the others with my communication device, but I couldn't get through for a long time. I knew that something must have happened. I didn't expect that they'd all die. Not a single one is alive. He stared at the corpses on the ground. These people were all his subordinates. These people were also considered a small adventurer group. They specialized in adventuring in the savage forest, killing demonic beasts, picking spiritual herbs, and so on. Occasionally they would become bandits and kill people for their goods. This was also the norm for warriors adventuring in the savage forest. It was extremely chaotic. In order to obtain wealth, they would do anything. There was never a so-called bottom line. Big Brother Qindao. A skinny man stood up and stared at the corpses on the ground. A cold light flashed in his eyes. From the traces of battle here and the wounds on Third Brother Yi and the others, they were not killed by the demonic beast here. They were killed by humans. He was very knowledgeable and quickly deduced the cause of death of Yi Laosan and the others from some clues. Damn it. The man with a scar, Qindao, clenched his fist. With a bang he punched the ground, immediately creating a terrifying pit. More than 10 cracks also appeared on the ground. Kacha sounds could be heard as he displayed his cultivation of the 7th heaven of Martial Master. This was already the advanced Martial Master realm. In the entire Cloud realm he could be considered a small expert. A man in white had a sinister expression as he shouted angrily, "Big brother Qindao, third brother Yi and the others are our brothers. Someone killed them. We must avenge them. Yes, third brother Yi and the others cannot die in vain. We must get rid of that group of murderers. If we catch them we will kill them." The others also nodded, their killing intent boiling. We must definitely avenge them. The man with a scar, Qindao, was very calm. But we have to investigate the enemy's strength. We cannot foolishly charge forward and die. If the enemy is weak we will kill them on the spot. If they are strong we will temporarily endure and find a chance to poison them or set a trap to plot against them. We cannot fight them head-on. His thoughts flashed as he thought of many evil plans. The others also had endless killing intent in their hearts. They were all bandits and specialized in doing lowly work. They had long been familiar with schemes and tricks like poisoning and framing people. If they wanted to kill someone they did not need to fight them head-on. Traps and poison were all methods. Let's go and chase after them. The man with a scar waved his hand. Chapter 507. Night Cold Moon Lake. After running for a few hours, Xiaoping finally arrived at Cold Moon Lake. This is Cold Moon Lake? So big. Xiaoping looked around and found that although this place was called Cold Moon Lake, it was so big that he couldn't see the end. It stretched for at least thousands of kilometers, similar to some oceans on Earth. The water here isn't simple either. Xiaoping stared at the water of the Cold Moon Lake. Even though he was very far away, he could feel the deep cold air that the water of the Cold Moon Lake exuded. If an ordinary person entered Cold Moon Lake without any preparation, they would be frozen into ice after a few minutes. The cold air would invade their internal organs and kill them. Even a deity couldn't save them. He immediately knew that this was a special paradise. No wonder the Silver WRM King of the 72 Caves would choose this place as its cave abode. That's water moon grass. Soon, Xiaoping also found a large patch of grass growing at the edge of Cold Moon Lake. It was silver in color and the size of a palm. Under the moonlight, it glowed with a silver light. Wisps of unique spirit medicine aura permeated the surroundings, shocking people's minds. It really is a spirit medicine of heaven and earth. Xiaoping felt the aura in his body stirring. He wanted to devour the water moon grass immediately and take it for himself. Once he consumed the spirit medicine and completely refined it, he would immediately reach the state of harmony between the sun and the moon, water and fire. It would help him break through the bottleneck. Boom! Just as the moon rose into the sky, the entire cold moon pool trembled and a crashing sound rang out. A large amount of water immediately splashed out from the depths of the pool. Silver pythons emerged from the surface of the water, numbering in the tens of thousands. When these snake demons appeared, their demonic aura soared into the sky and covered the earth. It was like thousands of demons had gathered. They were in a neat formation as if they were one like an army. Xiaoping immediately calmed down, suppressing his impulse to go over and pick up the water moon grass. He hit on a huge rock nearby and at the same time he hid his Zhenyuan in the golden crow cells, merging with the surrounding aura. This was to prevent his tracks from being discovered by these snake demons, which would definitely lead to a disaster. At this moment, these snake demons appeared on the water surface. They raised their heads and kept swallowing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Crash, with their bodies as the center, a terrifying vortex seemed to have formed, and a large amount of spiritual chi gathered in this place. But that was not all. At this moment, the moon was high up in the sky. At this moment, silver splendor actually fell down from the sky. Such splendor dyed the entire lake silver white. It was incomparably spectacular. After the snake devil absorbed the moonlight, they looked quite satisfied and their auras became stronger bit by bit. Devil energy circulated within their bodies and devil chi shot into the sky. There were also some snake demons who seemed to have broken through the limits of their cultivation and obtained an astonishing evolution. They even shed off their own snake skins, and their bodies glowed with fluorescent light. Furthermore, the serpent demons didn't just appear in random locations. Rather, they had their own unique locations which had long since been fixed in place. Their demonic chi was connected to each other. If someone were to look down from above, they would immediately be able to see that these snake demons had formed a cultivation array, and their auras were outlining the lines of the array. It was precisely because of this formation that it could gather a large amount of heaven and earth spiritual chi and absorb the essence of the sun and moon. It could greatly increase the cultivation speed of the snake demons, bringing about endless benefits. This is the scene of the monsters swallowing the essence of the moon and cultivating? Xia Ping hid on a huge rock next to him and also saw the scene of these snake demons cultivating. He was extremely shocked. He also deeply understood that these monsters were not inferior to human beings. In fact, they have cultivated for a longer time, far longer than the humans on Yanhuang Star. They should not be underestimated. Soon 2 or 3 hours passed. The moon seemed to have left the center and was about to fall, and the essence of the moon didn't seem to be as abundant as before. One by one, the snake demons also finished their cultivation and dived into the bottom of the lake. Did they all go back? Xia Ping's eyes flickered. He knew that there must be a cave for these snake demons in the depths of the cold moon lake. After their usual cultivation, they would return to their cave residence to rest. When all these snake demons left, he suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. Now he finally had a chance to get these water moon grass. If he could obtain the water moon grass without disturbing these snake demons, it would also be a good thing. This way he could cultivate in peace and strengthen his cultivation. No, there are still snake demon guards. When Xia Ping got a little closer, he suddenly found that there was a team of snake demon guards in the place where the water moon grass grew. There were 15 or 16 of them and they were at least in the martial master realm. The strongest was at the 6th heavenly layer of martial master and the weakest was at the 3rd heavenly layer of martial master. They exuded a tyrannical aura. These snake demons patrolled nearby with cold eyes. They seemed to be preventing enemies from invading and picking the water moon grass. However, this was also a matter of course. The water moon grass was not only of great benefit to human martial artists but also to the monster race. Elixir like this was an important resource that was guarded. No one was allowed to come and pick it secretly and take it for themselves. It was estimated that there were many human martial artists like Xia Ping who wanted to pick the water moon grass. Over time, they also established a perfect guard mechanism to resist intruders. However, since there were snake demon guards, there were fewer and fewer humans who dared to come to the cold moon lake to steal the water moon grass because the death of a large number of human martial artists was also a kind of deterrence. In order to obtain the water moon grass, they had to pay with their lives. Many humans would weigh the pros and cons and not dare to come. It's really boring. It's already been a few months and there are actually no humans coming to die. I don't know how many we have killed. How would those stupid humans still dare to come? We still went a little overboard. We should show the enemy that we are weak and lure these human martial artists to come. That way we will have an endless supply of humans to eat. Without those human martial artists coming to die, our quality of life has also declined recently. Everything we eat is not delicious. Isn't that so? If not for the peace agreement between the human race and the monster race, I would still want to sneak into the human cities to kill some and bring back to the cave abode as food. I still miss the war between the monster race and the human race. At that time, there were countless human corpses and we could eat as much as we wanted. But we also died a lot. My grandfather and grandmother died in the hands of those human martial artists and were almost wiped out. This is a blood feud. Therefore we will kill whoever they come. The so-called peace agreement is just a piece of waste paper. Actually, when we have the time, we can also sneak into the human cities and capture some humans. My cousin did this before. He ate many human women without anyone knowing. This is good. This idea is not bad. Next time we have a holiday, we will try it. Chapter 508. They actually eat humans while chatting. They really are monsters. They should be killed. A cold light flashed in Xia Ping's eyes. A terrifying killing intent brewed in his heart like a volcano that was about to erupt. Although Xia Ping couldn't understand what they were saying, he had a communicator with an intelligent translation software on it. So long as he received their words, it could immediately translate them into human language. Therefore, he didn't have any problems with the language barrier. He could completely understand what they were saying. It was said that once one reached the king realm, they didn't need the help of translation software at all. They could communicate with each other through spiritual energy. This was the communication method of higher life forms. But the more he understood what they were saying, the more he wanted to kill them. It was undeniable that there were peace-loving races and monsters that were friendly to humans. But most of them were enemies. They were ferocious and fed on humans. Such monsters should be killed. No matter what, I must get the water moon grass. Xia Ping clenched his fists. He had to get the water moon grass. It was an indispensable cultivation resource for his cultivation. Even if he had to use despicable methods, he would get the water moon grass. Not to mention that these snake demons were harmful to humans. They were basically mortal enemies, so he didn't care about anything. If I kill these snake demon guards, I'll immediately attract a large number of snake demon enemies. At that time I'll definitely be surrounded. Although Xia Ping's killing intent was boiling, he was still very cautious. Because he saw how spectacular the scene of these snake demons cultivating was. Just a corner of the cold moon pond had tens of thousands of snake demons. They were so dense that they blotted out the sky. How many snake demons were there in the cold moon pond? Was it in the millions? Tens of millions? Hundreds of millions? Just imagining this number was enough to make one shudder. Killing one was equivalent to poking a beehive. The cold moon pond was a kingdom of snake demons. If I want to get the water moon grass, I must kill these 16 snake demon guards at the same time. They won't even be able to cry for help. Xia Ping's eyes revealed a cold light as killing intent brewed in his heart. With a swoosh, he immediately took out a treasured weapon, Hell's Spear. If he wanted to kill these monsters in an instant, they wouldn't even have the chance to cry out for help. With his current strength, he couldn't do it. However, if he could borrow the power of a treasure, then it would be twice the result with half the effort. Rumble, Xia Ping instilled the true essence in his body into the Hell Spear. After advancing to the fourth layer of the Martial Master Realm, his true essence was even more massive, and he could operate this treasure with even more power. In that moment, the Hell Spear trembled, and the aura of hell rippled out, twisting and distorting the magnetic field around it. The inscriptions on the surface of the spear flickered. To kill these demons, I have to assassinate them. The head-piercing 7 arrows technique is a supreme hidden weapon technique. Its grade is almost impossible to measure, and it might even be above the king grade. Xia Ping was immersed in the circulation of the third level of the head-piercing 7 arrows technique. Even though he had been enlightened by the system, he still felt that there were many mysteries of this technique that he had yet to fully understand. Every time he circulated it, he felt that he had a deeper understanding of this technique. The Extreme Tao stage. Completely fuse one's psyche into the prized artifact, reaching the state of being one with the artifact. Using one's energy to control the artifact. Xia Ping sent his psyche into the depths of the Hell Spear. He seemed to feel the power of this treasure at a deeper level. It was as if the shadows of demons and gods from hell appeared in the depths of his mind, and the aura of hell and his body merged as one. In that instant, Xia Ping felt that his heart was as calm as a mirror. There were no fluctuations at all, and even his emotions disappeared in that instant. He didn't even need to circulate the true essence in his body. It was completely integrated with his psyche in the Hell Spear, and his essence, chi and soul became one. He stabbed out with the spear without making a sound. Head-piercing 7 arrows technique, third form, sky full of flower rain. With a boom, the Hell Spear transformed into energy in that instant. 16 black energy spears appeared, and like raindrops, they stabbed out into the distance. This spear was silent and there was no sound at all. Even the air didn't tremble. It was as if the spear had completely merged with heaven and earth, as if it had escaped into a different dimension. Even a King Realm expert who saw this attack would be shocked. They couldn't describe how terrifying and fast this attack was. Dong. In the next second, Xia Ping's Hell Spear instantly pierced through the bodies of the 16 snake demons standing at the edge of the lake. Still there was no sound. Even the 16 Martial Master Realm snake demons didn't know what was going on. They were just discussing how to sneak into the human world and hunt human women for food. When the spear pierced through their bodies, a dark energy of hell exploded, instantly blowing their bodies into powder. They collapsed and dissipated between heaven and earth. Until now they didn't even know how they died. Then the energy of the 16 spears dissipated, and they gathered together again. With a dong, the Hell Spear was nailed to the ground, easily piercing a hole. If it wasn't for the large pile of black dust and the 16 demon cores on the ground, probably no one would believe that there were 16 Martial Master Realm snake demons standing there just now. With just one attack he killed 16 Martial Master Realm snake demons. They couldn't even send out a signal for help. If this matter were to spread, it would probably scare a lot of people to death. Nailhead 7 Arrows Technique. This is the real Nailhead 7 Arrows Technique. This is a supreme assassination technique. It's said to be able to curse and kill the enemy through countless times. Xia Ping's eyes lit up. He felt that after advancing to the martial master realm, he finally started to understand the mysteries of the Nailhead 7 Arrows technique and mastered the essence of this peerless hidden weapon technique. The spear just now completely destroyed the vitality of the 16 snake demons. Just by brushing their skin, the terrifying wave that erupted was enough to shatter the internal organs of the snake demons. At the same time, such a spear also stimulated the power in the depths of the hell spear. It made Xia Ping feel like he was the god of hell who had mastered the power of judgment. He was invincible. Alright, I have to quickly pick these water moon grass. Otherwise, when the next batch of snake demon guards comes, it will definitely cause a lot of trouble. Xia Ping had no time to lament the power of this technique. After all, the snake demon guards would change shifts every once in a while. There would be demons coming over to inspect them. It was extremely strict. Even if something happened, it would be completely controlled by the snake demons. He immediately went forward and picked up all the water moon grass. At the same time he picked up the hell spear. In just a few minutes, Xia Ping quickly picked up the water moon grass and quickly left the cold moon pool. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.